The cultivation family. I begin by taking a concubine and practicing the art of the sun and moon. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 301 Zhou Daocheng saves people. First put away the spirit puppet formation, and then the quicksand formation. Finally, he put away a set of concealment arrays. This set of formations shrouded the surroundings and was used to cover up sounds and movements. The set of formations shrouded the surroundings and was used to cover up sounds and movements. Mission was successfully completed, Zhou Daocheng said calmly. Zhou Daocheng smiled and said, "Sixth brother, your methods are really amazing. There are endless trapping formations, killing formations, and confusing formations. You can kill people invisible." Zhou Daocheng smiled. The formations were indeed diverse and could be used in various situations. For example, this formation that can mask sounds and movements was specially prepared for this operation. Otherwise, with only a distance of 30 feet and a lot of movement, the other monks in Zun Pavilion would have discovered the situation here long ago. How could they watch Concubine being killed? Of course, it doesn't matter even if they find out. Even if all of them add up, they are definitely no match for Zhou Daocheng and Zhou Daocheng. However, Zhou Daocheng hopes to maximize his profits. After everything was done, Zhou Daocheng took out a packet of medicinal powder, carefully sprinkled it around Concubine, and then hid with Zhou Daocheng again. Not long after, a large number of venomous snakes came from all directions. Even among them, Zhou Daocheng saw a red second-level venomous snake. Although it was only 1 foot in size, when Zhou Daocheng saw it, he couldn't help but take a breath. This is a small but extremely poisonous second-order venomous snake. Zhou Daocheng couldn't help but sigh. Spirit Snake's X-snake luring powder is really effective. It actually attracted so many venomous snakes in such a short period of time, even second-level ones. Zhou Daocheng was not surprised and said, "On the one hand, the medicinal powder is very effective, but the main reason is the environment here. After all, it is not possible to have so many poisonous snakes living within a few miles in other places. This is the poisonous swamp of hundreds of insects." A large number of venomous snakes slowly swam into the vicinity of Zun Pavilion. When approaching Concubine's body, the second-level poisonous snake did not hesitate and took a bite directly forward. After making sure that he was dead, he looked at the kin family members not far away. After several breaths, kin family monks finally began to wake up from their sleep, and painful screams resounded through the jungle. Screams, chopping sounds, cries for help, all merged together, and a disaster that no one knew happened in the poisonous insect swamp. Even though Zun Pavilion is very powerful, there are too many venomous snakes around, and there are even second-level venomous snakes hidden among them, which they cannot deal with at all. And what's even more special is that this is the 100 insect poison swamp, and most of them are extremely poisonous snakes, which are more deadly and threatening than the huge pythons. Many monks resisted desperately, but after being bitten by a poisonous snake, their bodies only felt numb and itchy. The wounds began to rot and fester, and their reactions became slower and slower. In this case, after just a few seconds of being slow, you will be attacked again by a large number of venomous snakes around you. As a result, various venomous snake toxins entered the body, causing great damage to the body's meridians and organs. At this time, many people turned purple and collapsed to the ground. The monks of Zun Pavilion scrambled into a mess and began to look for Concubine, a strong foundation builder. However, they were horrified to find that the Tuling Lodge where Concubine lived was empty. The atmosphere of despair began to spread, and a large number of Zun Pavilion monks died from snake poison. Zhou Daocheng, who was hiding in the dark, silently assessed the situation and secretly analyzed. Almost all of them were poisoned, and nearly half were killed or injured. "That's about it. It's time for you to take action, brother." Zhou Daocheng nodded and couldn't help but sighed. "Hey, sixth brother, are we being a little too harsh? It's okay. Aren't we here to save them now? One harm and one rescue are offset." Zhou Daocheng said speechlessly. "How can you think so? However, considering the harvest this time, Zhou Daocheng said no more, walked directly out of the jungle, quickly entered the battlefield, and quickly killed the surrounding poisonous snakes with absolute strength. When everyone in Zun Pavilion discovered the strong man, they didn't have time to see who he was, they only knew that this person was a strong foundation builder, and they immediately began to resist vigorously. When Zhou Daocheng saw this scene, he suddenly said coldly, "What are you still doing? Why don't you leave here quickly? Do you want to be used as food by the second-order red-ringed golden-eyed snake?" Hearing this, everyone felt chills on their backs and swallowed hard. The situation just now was so chaotic that even they themselves didn't realize that there was a second-order venomous snake here. Now that he was reminded, he didn't dare to hesitate and hurriedly ran outside. After running a few steps and regaining their senses, they suddenly discovered that they had been poisoned by a large amount of snake venom. Their bodies began to lose control, their expressions gradually became trance-like, and they rushed out of the poisonous poison swamp step by step. After Zhou Daocheng killed a large number of snakes, the remaining venomous snakes gradually began to retreat, including the second-level venomous snake, the red-ringed golden-eyed snake, which also swam directly into the depths of the 100-insect poison swamp without being seen. So, he also stopped what he was doing, looked at the area where Zhou Daocheng was hiding, slightly, and walked directly towards the place where everyone in Zun Pavilion left. After everyone left, Zhou Daocheng walked out of the darkness and looked at the mess on the ground. A large number of monks' corpses and chopped poisonous snake corpses were all mixed together, making people frown. When Zhou Daocheng saw this scene, he couldn't help but sigh. There was no great hatred between him and Zun Pavilion. At most, it was just a quarrel and a fight between chi-refining cultivators. It was definitely not a life-and-death fight. However, when there was a chance to exterminate Zun Pavilion and seize their huge resources, he raised the butcher knife without hesitation. Seeing many innocent people die here, Zhou Daocheng's expression was a little dazed. After all, he still caused a lot of killings, but after just a moment of hesitation, Zhou Daocheng wanted to be firm again. In this cannibalistic world of immortal cultivation, if you don't kill others, others will always kill you. There are some very difficult roads, and there are always some people who need to walk, do, and complete them. The killings he caused in his hands will be transformed into clean spirit stones, elixirs, and cultivation resources, which will be handed over to Zhou Daocheng, Zhou Daocheng and other children to help them grow and become the pillars of the next generation of the Zhou family. Zhou Daocheng did not hesitate anymore and began to deal with the mess here. All the storage bags left by the people of Zun Pavilion were collected, a total of more than 30. Almost every corpse had 3 to 5 storage bags, which stored a large amount of resources. It was an extremely rich fortune, and Zhou Daocheng collected them without hesitation. At the same time, the Earth Spirit House that had not been completely damaged was also directly recycled. Finally, Zhou Daocheng found the body of Concubine, a strong foundation building master, and originally planned to strip the soul, but after thinking about it, he gave up this plan. Extracting the essence of monsters may be acceptable, but if you extract the soul of a cultivator at will, it is no different from an evil cultivator. Chapter 302 Poison Tribe Members. In the past, extracting Panhe's soul and making it into a spiritual puppet formation was really a helpless move, because at that time, there was just a lack of a second-level demon beast spirit, and it happened to be time to enter the Gathering Yin land, so he had no choice but to resort to this last resort. However, from now on, if there is no other way, Zhou Daocheng will most likely not use human souls to make a spiritual puppet formation. After all, if this kind of thing is done too much, on the one hand, it will affect one's own mind and may very likely embark on the path of evil cultivation. On the other hand, if other cultivators see this behavior, it will inevitably affect his reputation. So after thinking about it, Zhou Daocheng put Concubine away, and then found all the storage bags and took them all away. This was a very rich harvest. Finally, the spiritual puppet formation was summoned, and 2 huge pythons turned the river and sea in this area, directly destroying all the corpses, making all the traces here disappear. Even if the Qin family returns again, There will only be a muddy and messy swamp. In a jungle tens of kilometers away. The atmosphere was extremely depressing, like a huge tripod weighing 1,000 pounds pressing on everyone's chest. A dozen cultivators were panting. Some collapsed on the ground, and their consciousness fell into a coma. It was obvious that the snake venom had invaded their bodies. Some people kept coughing up red and green blood. Their faces were extremely pale, and their life breath was very weak. Some people were itchy and kept scratching their bodies. A large number of pustules were scratched and their skin was directly ulcerated, with a horrifying appearance. Only a few people had some injuries on their bodies and were not attacked by venomous snakes. At this moment, they were busy and constantly searching for detoxification pills in their storage bags. This group of people were the Qin family of Zhen Pavilion who fled here. When they came, they were led by foundation building masters, 8 qi refining 9th level masters, and there were more than 30 clansmen in the team. But at this moment, there were only 12 people left, and only 4 of them were qi refining 9th level masters, and most of them were seriously injured. The most serious thing is that the remaining 4 9th level qi refining masters were all deliberately attacked by the red-ringed golden-eyed snake, so they were all infected with snake venom. At this time, red spots appeared all over their bodies, as if they were burned by flames, and their consciousness had gradually fallen into a coma. Aunt Kinmu and the others who were not injured were constantly stuffing detoxification pills into their mouths, but there was no effect at all. Zhen Pavilion has indeed had a lot of inventory over the years, but it did not specifically collect detoxification pills until it planned to come to the 100 insects poison swamp, and then it purchased a batch of first-level top-grade detoxification pills in the market. However, this has almost no effect on second-level snake venom. Even other cultivators who were poisoned by first-level snakes could not use first-level top-grade detoxification pills to detoxify. Because they were attacked by multiple venomous snakes at the same time, there were various different venoms in their bodies, and one detoxification pill had no effect at all. Aunt Kinmu and others looked extremely anxious, and frantically looked for a solution, but they were powerless. A large number of pills fell to the ground, ranging from first grade to second grade, but none of them could solve the current situation. They could only watch their clansmen being attacked by snake venom. At this moment, the Qin family of Zhen Pavilion was no longer suffering heavy losses, but was likely to be on the verge of extinction. If they could not survive this test, the once prosperous Zhen Pavilion would inevitably go to destruction in this uninhabited jungle. And the few remaining clansmen who were not poisoned were also likely to be unable to return to Beifang City independently due to their lack of strength. Faced with this situation, Aunt Kinmu almost felt despair and slumped on the ground. Her originally charming eyes were now full of dullness. But at this moment, footsteps appeared in the depths of the jungle not far away. Everyone looked up suddenly and saw a figure coming from a distance, holding a long sword in his hand, with a trace of blood on the sword tip. Seeing this figure, an uninjured member of the Qin family suddenly brightened up, hurriedly climbed up from the ground, rushed over, knelt on the ground and grabbed Zhou Daocheng's trouser legs, begging, "Senior, can you lend us a second-level detoxification pill to save my people? I, Zhen Pavilion, will be grateful and thank you 100-fold." Zhou Daocheng only took a glance and knew what happened. Under the attack of so many poisonous snakes, the poison must be not simple. If you don't prepare high-quality detoxification pills, it is likely that you can't detoxify at all, especially the second-level red-ringed golden-eyed snake, which is notoriously strong in toxins. Only a very small number of detoxification pills can detoxify it. Zhou Daocheng shook his head indifferently and said, "This is a 100-insect poison swamp. In this harsh environment, I also need to prepare 1 or 2 second-level detoxification pills. If I give them to you, it will only put me in danger, so, I'm sorry." Hearing this, a touch of surprise appeared on the faces of several people, because this person actually said so, which must mean that he was carrying a second-level detoxification pill. "Senior, please, we in Zhen Pavilion are not ungrateful. As long as you help us again today, we will be grateful. Our Qin family is a foundation-building force. As long as you help us in this matter, we will not treat you unfairly in the future." Compared to the clueless pleas of others, and Qin Mu was obviously smarter. She quickly lay on the ground to search, and found more than a dozen second-level pills, and sent them all to Zhou Daocheng. He said in a negotiating tone, "Senior, please keep these second-level pills first. We will exchange them with you for detoxification pills. We will never let you suffer any loss. Can you save our lives?" Zhou Daocheng's eyes lit up, and he exclaimed softly. He looked at the pills in his hand and found that they were all second-level pills, and the quality was pretty good. They should be the inventory of Zun Pavilion for many years. Zhou Daocheng touched it, thought for a long time, and sighed. "Well, since I saved you, I will do my best to help you again." Hearing this, several members of the Qin family were grateful and knelt down. Their eyes were filled with excited tears. "Thank you for saving me. Thank you for saving me." Zhou Daocheng walked forward and carefully checked the poisoning of each person in the dark, and then frowned. Standing up, looking at the Qin family members around him, he said in a low voice, "Everyone, I have checked the situation, and it may not be optimistic." What do you mean? Is it possible that even the second-level detoxification pill of the senior is useless? An old man of the Qin family asked nervously. Zhou Daocheng shook his head and explained, "The detoxification pill is useful, but not completely effective. The first-level snake venom can indeed be easily detoxified. But these 4 ninth-level qi-refining cultivators were bitten by the red-ringed golden-eyed snake. Ordinary second-level detoxification pills are unlikely to be effective." Chapter 303 A near-desperate situation. Hearing this, everyone immediately turned pale, and Zhou Daocheng's next words made everyone look even more desperate. "Moreover, I only have 2 second-level detoxification pills on me. If I want to distribute them to everyone, I'm afraid of the effect will be much reduced. Even if I give a first-level snake venom, it will be difficult to detoxify." This is really not what Zhou Daocheng said. There were a total of 12 people present, 9 of whom were poisoned. 4 of them were poisoned by the second-order venom of the red-ringed golden-eyed snake, and the remaining 5 were poisoned by a variety of first-order poisons. It is almost impossible to save everyone with just 2 antidote pills. Zhou Daocheng sighed and said, "Now there are only 2 ways in front of you. It depends on your own choice." Aunt Qin Mu could take a breath and asked, "Senior, may I ask, which are the 2 paths?" Zhou Daocheng said calmly, "First, let's just ignore these 4 ninth-level qi-refining monks. They are poisoned by second-level snake venom, and it seems that they can't be detoxified at the moment. It's better to use the 2 detoxifying pills in my hand to give them to the other 5. Detoxification should be able to save everyone's life without leaving any sequelae." "Absolutely not." As soon as Zhou Daocheng finished speaking, an old man from the Qin family quickly refused. Several other people also looked embarrassed, unwilling to accept such a result. Today, in the Qin family of Zun Pavilion, all the strong foundation builders are dead. The 9th-level qi-refining monks are the strongest beings and are the last remaining foundation of the family. Moreover, even the number of 9th-level qi-refining monks is already very small. There are only 5 people left in total, that is, the 4 in front of you, plus the 1 stationed in Beifang City. If these 4 9th-level qi-refining monks are given up at this time, the Qin family of Zun Pavilion will be completely destroyed. With a 9th-level qi-refining monk, there will never be a chance of turning around in the future, and there is a high probability that others will the forces eat him alive. Senior, we will never give up on these 4th-level and 9th-level qi-refiners. What is our second method? The second method, Zhou Daocheng said thoughtfully, distribute the 2 detoxification pills to everyone, most of them to the 4 9th-level qi-refiners, and a small part to the other monks. It should be able to barely suppress the snake venom and hang. However, you need to return to Fangxi within 15 days and find detoxification pills to everyone. Detoxify, otherwise everyone may not survive. This method immediately silenced all the Qin family members. This was the only way to save everyone. Aunt Qin Mu thought for a while and asked, "Senior, can you escort us back to Fangxi? We will definitely thank you with a big gift." With their current strength, 3 weak monks and 9 seriously injured monks were simply unable to deal with the dangers along the way. Zhou Daocheng frowned and said, "Let me, a foundation-building monk, escort you juniors. You are really brave. Don't dare, we will definitely pay you a lot of money. An old man from the Qin family gritted his teeth and said, 5,000 spirit stones, how about the reward for this escort? You only need 5,000 spirit stones to save lives? Zhou Daocheng sneered and said, for 10,000 spirit stones, plus all the storage bags you have, I will send you back. The faces of the Qin family changed drastically, and they said angrily, Senior, are you too greedy? Aren't you afraid of being punished by God? HMPH, who are you? How dare you talk like that? Zhou Daocheng snorted coldly, his aura fluctuating faintly, indicating that he was planning to take action. Seeing this, an old man hurriedly blocked the speaker's mouth and apologized. I'm ignorant, Senior, please don't take offense. Senior saved me from Zun Pavilion. We will never forget it. 10,000 spirit stones will never be forgotten. Question. HMPH, plus all the storage bags you have on you. This. Okay, just follow what the senior said. The old man looked embarrassed, but finally agreed. But after saying these words, he seemed to have aged 10 years and had all the strength drained from his body. These storage bags on my body are Zun Pavilion's decades of accumulation. However, facing the current situation, it is not their turn to choose. At this moment, the most important thing for them is to return to Fangxi, so that everything can be changed. Then, Aunt Qin Mu thought for a while and asked, Senior, may I ask which detoxifying pill is needed to cure the venom of the red-ringed golden-eyed snake? Everyone looked over and realized that this was what they really cared about. They had to save the remaining 9th-level Qi refining experts. Zhou Daocheng's eyes were deep and he said, if you want to detoxify the second-order red-ringed golden-eyed snake, you probably need a second-order mid-grade detoxifying pill, and it is best to have a nice attribute, which can just relieve the fire spot toxin. Then, I wonder if seniors know where this detoxifying pill can be sold? Zhou Daocheng shook his head. The number of these detoxifying pills is relatively small, and they may not be found in medium and large cities, let alone the nearby Beifang City and Wuyifang City. Hearing this, all the Qin family members were almost in despair. The second-level middle-grade detoxification pill, not only is the quality high and the price expensive, but more importantly, the quantity is extremely small and cannot be purchased at all. Then at this moment, Zhou Daocheng suddenly said, however, your luck seems to be good. Senior, what do you mean? The Qin family, who were almost desperate, seemed to have grasped a life-saving straw at the last moment and asked quickly without hesitation. Zhou Daocheng said, I heard before that the Lord of Fog Valley and the leader of the Spirit Snake sect hunted a frost-poisoned toad and obtained a lot of cold clothes. Finally, they were all refined into the 100 cold poison eliminating pill with a quality of up to 2 top grade. If it is this kind of detoxification pill, it should only take one, and it should be able to detoxify all of you. The only uncertainty is whether the Lord of Foggy Valley will sell it. After all, we have to clean up the 100 insect poison swamp next, and the monks will inevitably be poisoned. If this elixir is presented to the Wang family of Cayenne Mountain, the benefits may be even greater. All the monks of the Qin family in Zun Pavilion fell silent after hearing this, and their expressions became a little heavy. They have no friendship with the Lord of Foggy Valley. Strictly speaking, there is even enmity between the two parties. What reasons should I use to buy a precious second-level high-grade elixir from that person? Perhaps the only way is to exchange a large enough benefit with the Lord of Foggy Valley. However, when they calmed down and carefully considered the remaining details of Zun Pavilion, their faces suddenly became extremely ugly, because they discovered that even if the Lord of Foggy Valley was willing to sell them the second-level detoxification pill, they seemed to be unable to afford it. This visit to the 100 insect poison marsh was a desperate plan of the Qin family. They brought nearly 80% of their wealth with them in order to go all out to find a way out in the 100 insect poison marsh. Whether it is finding a new spiritual vein in Beicon poison marsh, or following the Wang family in Cayenne Mountain and joining Donglanfang City, it is a very good choice. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 304 and Kinmu in number 039:S plea. Moreover, Qin Kai originally hoped that with such an attitude of following with all his strength, he would attract the attention of the Kaianian mountain Wang family, and thus be favored like Wugu, Spirit Snake sect and Disu sect, but the final result was completely different from their original plan. Most of the resources are on the foundation building expert Qin Kai, and the rest are on the 9th level Qi refining monks. Now, the head of the family, Qin Kai, and the other 4 9th level Qi refining experts have all died under the attack of the monsters, directly losing more than half of their resources. And now, the remaining half of the resources have just been promised to the strong foundation builder in front of them. Speaking of which, the entire Qin family now only has a very small amount of property in Beifang City left. Even if they are all sold, they may not be able to exchange for a top-grade second-grade detoxifying pill. Everyone felt despair and seemed to be unable to see the future direction. The foundation accumulated by the Qin family in Zen Pavilion for hundreds of years seemed to completely collapse in one day and turn into nothing. But in the darkness, Aunt Kinmu's lowered eyes fluctuated slightly, and she seemed to have thought of something in her mind. Finally, he seemed to have made up his mind, and said in a deep voice, "Uncles, let's go back to Fangxi first. As for the second-level high-grade detoxification pill, I will personally go and talk to the Lord of Fog Valley. Maybe there will be a change." "Aunt Mu, do you have a way to persuade the Lord of Fog Valley?" Aunt Kinmu gritted her teeth and nodded heavily. "I'm not absolutely sure, but I can give it a try. But the most important thing is to return to Fangxi first." Then, he looked at Zhou Daocheng and said, "Senior, I know that you are from the Zhou family in Wuyifang City. Please escort us back. As for the price, it will be based on the benefits we negotiated before." "Okay," Zhou Daocheng agreed, with a hidden smile appearing deep in his eyes. Everything developed as they expected. Next, Zhou Daocheng escorted the Qin family all the way back to Beifang City. Zhou Daocheng, on the other hand, took all the gains, which were dozens of storage bags with the Qin family, and quickly returned to Foggy Valley in the Qingfeng shuttle. 15 days later. The Qin family of Zen Pavilion returned to Wuyifang City smoothly. 9 members of the Qin family who used detoxifying pills to hang their lives. At this time, he had completely fallen into a coma, and the snake venom had completely eroded his body. Some people have a lot of red spots on their bodies, almost as if they are cooked. Some people have a lot of abscesses on their bodies, and pus is flowing out every day. Some people are purple all over, and their body temperature fluctuates every day, and they are always on the edge of suffering, almost on the verge of suffering. Strictly speaking, without high-quality elixirs, these Qin family members would definitely die. Under such circumstances, as soon as Aunt Kinmu returned to Wuyifang City, she immediately rushed to see the Lord of Wugu. But with her identity, there was no way to quickly meet Zhou Daocheng. Finally, he asked Zhou Daocheng again to help notify Zhou Daocheng, who was refining the formation, and finally met him successfully. Wuyifang City, the second floor of Tanchai Xianju. Zhou Daocheng looked at the woman in front of him with great interest. She was no longer as graceful and noble as before, and she had completely lost her calm and indifferent expression. Her expression looked extremely tired, and her back was a little more searching. But even so, Aunt Kinmu still has a unique charm, with a voluptuous and graceful figure. She is dressed in an elegant lavender cheongsam, which outlines the breathtaking curves. She also seems to have been specially dressed to make her eyebrows more seductive and charming. Seeing Zhou Daocheng's arrival, Aunt Kinmu quickly stood up and bowed respectfully and submissively. "My little girl, Aunt Kinmu, has met the Lord of Fog Valley." The voice was soft, like the spring breeze blowing on the face, carrying a refreshing fragrance. Zhou Daocheng's eyes were calm and he sat casually on the main seat. He took a sip of tea calmly and said in a cold voice, "Miss Qin, there's no need to show off. I won't be fooled by your little tricks. Let's get down to business." Aunt Kinmu was obviously embarrassed. A hint of anger appeared on her face for a moment, but she was restrained immediately and did not dare to make any rebuttal, thinking of the Qin family members who were now seriously injured and on the verge of death. She still managed to squeeze out a smile and said, "Young master is joking. Aunt Mu is a mortal woman. Naturally, she can't be on the stage, nor can she get into the eyes of young master. I hope young master Hai Han." Zhou Daocheng waved his hand. "Let's get down to business." Aunt Qin Mu was not unhappy at being interrupted. After gritting her teeth, she went straight to the topic and said, "The little girl Aunt Mu came here this time because she has something important to ask for. She hopes to buy one from the young master. Buy Han Kuang pill, buy Han detoxifying pill." Zhou Daocheng raised his eyebrows and frowned. "I do have 2 of them, but these are second-level high-grade detoxifying pills. What price are you going to pay for them?" Hearing this question, Aunt Qin Mu's face turned pale. After hesitating for a moment, she said, "Mr. Wu Gu, my Qin family should be able to collect 5,000 spiritual stones by selling all their properties." 5,000 medium-grade spiritual stones? Aunt Qin Mu smoothed her hair and said without confidence, "A low-grade spiritual stone." After the words fell, there was silence in the room for 3 seconds, and then there was cold laughter. "Miss Qin, are you here to joke with me? With 5,000 low-grade spiritual stones, you come to me to buy the second-grade top-grade detoxification pill? Do you think I am a fool?" Zhou Daocheng was already showing anger, and a terrifying aura covered it. In the room. Aunt Qin Mu's body softened and she quickly knelt on the ground and said hurriedly, "I don't dare. The Qin family can only produce so many spiritual stones now. I definitely didn't mean to offend the seniors." Hee. "So you think I should sell this second-grade top-grade Bai Han detoxification pill to you for 5,000 spirit stones?" Aunt Qin Mu bit her lip and didn't speak for a long time. She was not in the right in this matter, and I had expected such a situation. A second-grade top-grade detoxification pill is something that can really save lives, let alone 5,000 spirit stones, in certain specific circumstances. Even selling it for 50,000 spirit stones is not excessive. After hesitating for a moment, Aunt Qin Mu's face turned slightly red, as if she had made up her mind. She lowered her head and gritted her teeth and said, "Senior, do you still remember what you said before?" Zhou Daocheng asked. "What did you say?" "You said that if one day my Qin family falls into trouble, you can let me accompany the young master for one night in exchange for your help once." When this sentence was finished, Aunt Qin Mu's face was completely red, and her head was buried deep in her chest. A strong sense of shame completely enveloped her. As a second-level spiritual root cultivator from a foundation-building family, he had received the best training since childhood and had always been high and mighty. However, at this moment, for the sake of the family's inheritance, he put aside all his dignity and face. Zhou Daocheng looked deeply at the woman in front of him when he heard this. He did not expect that she could really do this for the family. He still admired her very much. Chapter 305 3 Conditions. However, for the sake of interests, he could not just agree to it. Instead, he sneered, glanced at her lower abdomen, and said with a little sarcasm, "One night, in exchange for a second-level top-grade detoxification pill? Miss Qin really has a good treasure. Is it inlaid with top-grade spirit stones, or has it been warmed with top-grade elixirs, so that it can ascend on the spot? This makes me a little curious." Aunt Qin Mu's face suddenly flushed, her delicate body trembled with anger, and her chest rose and fell with her breathing. "You, Miss Qin, please go back. Your price is too high. I can't afford it." Aunt Qin Mu's expression was uncertain, and she took a deep breath in the end, without saying a word. Seeing that she was so calm and unmoved by such words, Zhou Daocheng suddenly couldn't help sighing and shook his head helplessly. Although everything was set up by him, he hesitated for a while when he saw Aunt Qin Mu's attitude at this moment. For the sake of family inheritance, neither Zhou Daocheng nor Aunt Qin Mu was wrong from beginning to end. They were both miserable people who had experienced the demise of their families. Therefore, Aunt Qin Mu's actions still made him feel sad, and even at this moment, he was in awe. After hesitating for a long time, Zhou Daocheng said, "Well, I can agree to you, but you need to agree to my 3 conditions." "Mr. Wu Gu, please say, let alone 300 and Mu will agree. Then, 300. And Qin Mu. Zhou Daocheng cleared his throat and said calmly, first of all, your Qin family will join Wugu and become my subordinates. From now on, you need to obey my words when you work for me. But on the surface, you are still an independent family, similar to the Zhou family, the Wang family, and the Xiaodan Pavilion. This is actually the biggest purpose of Zhou Daocheng's doing this time. The first is to plunder the accumulation of the Qin family for decades, and the second is to subdue the Qin family, expand the power of Wugu, and increase the combat power of his subordinates. These two goals now seem to be achievable, and the Qin family is even likely to be grateful for her willingness to take in the Qin family. This is indeed the case. After hearing this, Aunt Qin Mu's face soon showed joy. Not only would he not refuse this condition, but he was extremely grateful. Because of the current situation, the Qin family must not continue to return to Beifang City. Although they have been operating in Beifang City for many years, they must have done a lot of bad things in the process of development, killing people to rob treasures, suppressing families, forced buying and selling. For the development of the family, they must have done a lot of these things, and naturally offended a lot of small forces. When the Qin family and Xiaodan Pavilion was still strong, these small forces could only swallow their anger and had no intention of resisting. However, now that the Qin family is in decline, it gives them the opportunity to take revenge. If the Qin family returns in their current state, they will most likely be attacked desperately by these forces, just like the hungry wolf Feng Shi, who will devour the once fierce tiger of Xiaodan Pavilion and take it away, without even leaving a bone residue. This is why they will go directly to Wugu Market instead of returning to Bei Market, just to avoid these former enemy forces. If they can join Wugu and rely on the master of Wugu, then the development of the Qin family in the next few decades will be guaranteed. Aunt Qin Mu almost didn't have much to say, so she nodded and agreed directly. Mr. Wugu, please rest assured, as long as you save my Qin family, from now on, then the Qin family of Xiaodan Pavilion will only obey you. Zhou Daocheng nodded and continued, second point, all the resources of the Qin family will be handed over to Wugu, and we will start from scratch in Wugu in the future. Aunt Qin Mu gritted her teeth and agreed directly, and now the Qin family doesn't have many resources left, only a few assets in Bei Market. There is really nothing to feel sorry for. Third, stay tonight. When the third condition was mentioned, Aunt Qin Mu's face turned pale, with a little panic in her expression, but she did not refuse. Zhou Daocheng said lightly, this is the condition you proposed yourself. I accepted it. You should have no objection, right? Aunt Qin Mu slightly, and then asked tentatively, since I said it, then it counts. It is Aunt Mu's luck to be able to become a Taoist partner of Master Wugu. But I heard that Master Wugu already has a Taoist partner. If you become a Taoist partner with me, I am afraid it will be a little inappropriate, right? Zhou Daocheng was stunned and said calmly, don't worry, I will not become a Taoist partner with you. From now on, you will be the head of the Qin family and be directly responsible to me. If I need it secretly, I will find you. After saying this, Aunt Qin Mu's face immediately became uncertain, and her teeth clenched tightly. Will not become a Taoist partner. I will find her if I need it. What does this regard her as? A tool, a plaything? Aunt Qin Mu's pride allowed her to sacrifice her future for the family, but she still felt uneasy in the face of such humiliation. However, he really misunderstood Zhou Daocheng. Perhaps at the beginning, Zhou Daocheng had some ideas of playing with her, but after seeing Aunt Qin Mu's belief in inheriting the family, he had a little more respect. He is the lord of the Fog Valley, and beauty is not an extremely scarce item for him, so he does not have such a bad taste. What he wants is just the innate purple qi, but he does not want to tie Aunt Qin Mu up for this. However, Zhou Daocheng did not pay attention to his words. After the arrangements were made, Zhou Daocheng patted Aunt Qin Mu on the shoulder without hesitation and said calmly, Master of the Qin family, stop kneeling on the ground and go see your family members. From now on, they are also my people. After hearing that she would treat 5 people from her family, Aunt Qin Mu's expression recovered a little. She hurriedly got up from the ground and followed Zhou Daocheng. Although she was unwilling, she still kept a low profile. 10 minutes later, the Qin family members passed through the path and were placed in an uninhabited small valley. The poisoned people were placed on the ground. Zhou Daocheng took a rough look and found that all of them were poisoned by snakes, and the poisoning was so deep that it almost hurt the root. Even if they were saved in the future, their strength would probably not be greatly improved, and they might be trapped in the qi refining stage for the rest of their lives. This also made Zhou Daocheng hesitate. From the perspective of the value of these people alone, they were not worth a Baihan pill at all. However, after Zhou Daocheng considered it again and again, he felt that the entire Qin family plus Aunt Qin Mu, a genius with 2 spiritual roots, were still worth the price. Aunt Qin Mu alone has potential that is no less powerful than 100 cold detoxification pill, but it will probably take some time to completely subdue this girl. Chapter 306 Detoxification. Zhou Daocheng took out the Baihan pill, ground it into powder, mixed it with some healing elixirs, boiled it into a pot of medicinal soup, and then distributed it directly to the 9 Qin family members. The 4 9th-level qi refining experts drank a large portion directly, and the others allocated a small portion. After drinking, they all fell asleep. Although the extremely serious injuries on their bodies did not recover immediately, their breaths have calmed down a lot, especially the 4 monks who were poisoned by the 2nd-level snake venom. Their bodies have returned to normal temperature and they are finally out of danger. The other members of the Qin family are also recovering slowly, because they rushed back all the way. They lacked spiritual energy replenishment and didn't even eat much food, so everyone was very weak. Aunt Qin Mu also let out a long breath when she saw her clan members recovered. The inheritance of the Qin family members had finally been preserved. Although it will be restricted by Foggy Valley from now on, it is still better than destruction. But every time Aunt Qin Mu thinks about her future, she feels chills on her back and a sense of despair, as if there is no hope in the sky. She didn't even have a chance to resist, because this Lord of Mist Valley has left a spiritual secret in her mind and completely controls her life. After Zhou Daocheng finished everything, he said calmly, after taking Baihan pill, everything will be fine later. Let's recover slowly. You can take care of them here and let me know when they wake up. Aunt Qin Mu nodded in agreement and said, we still have some tribesmen in Beifang City. Do you want me to bring them here? No, I'll just send someone there. They'll be transferred there in half a month. Yes, thank you Mr. Wugu. Zhou Daocheng nodded and said calmly, don't forget the business tonight. Go to Tanchai Xianju and wait for me. After finishing speaking, Aunt Qin Mu's face turned pale. It wasn't until Zhou Daocheng turned around to leave that the Qin family members on the side cautiously asked, Aunt Mu, what did the Lord of the Fog Valley mean by just now? Aunt Qin Mu smiled lightly and said, you don't have to worry too much, just leave the matter of the Lord of Wugu to me. From now on, our Qin family will depend on Wugu for development, and we have hope of passing it on. Although Qin Mu did not give a clear answer, but with just a few words and guesses from the details, these Qin family elders probably understood what happened. He sighed deeply and said, Aunt Mu, I've made you feel wronged. This is my own choice. Besides, if I have to find a Taoist companion for me, this Mr. Wugu is also a good choice. Qin Mu said with a smile. This was to comfort the tribe, and also to comfort her. Most of the day passed. All 9 members of the Qin family who were poisoned have recovered from serious injuries. However, all of them have weak breaths, pale faces, and appear very weak. It is even difficult to get out of bed and move around. Faced with this situation, Aunt Qin Mu had no choice but to let these tribesmen recover slowly. After all, now, they don't have any spiritual stones, elixirs, or any cultivation resources, and they have all been given to Zhou Daobai as reward. The current Qin family can be said to be extremely poor. If all the remaining assets in Beifang City are taken away by Zhou Daocheng, then they will be truly bankrupt, with not even a single spiritual stone except the clothes they are wearing, no shelter, no spiritual stones, no magic weapons. Nothing. At this moment, although all the clan members were out of danger, they were all lying on the ground in a daze, staring blankly at the sky. In just 2 months, The Qin family had suffered such great changes, but even they I can't explain why there is such a change. It seemed that everything was an accident, but all the accidents came so suddenly, as if a pair of big hands were controlling everything. But when I thought about it more carefully, I realized that no one else seemed to be to blame for everything. It was entirely my own fault. If you choose to spend decades of accumulation and go to the 100 insect poison swamp for a fight to the death, you must be prepared for failure, and the poisonous snake attack seems to be one of countless disasters. But thinking about it carefully, they also have some confusion in their hearts. Why did so many venomous snakes suddenly come to their gathering place? Why did Qin Kai Ui, a strong foundation builder, die silently? Who could kill him in secret without anyone discovering it? But no matter how much doubts and unwillingness there are, they can only turn into a sigh in the end. They had to accept the reality. The Qin family of Zun Pavilion was completely lonely. After learning that the Qin family had woken up, Zhou Daocheng also sent people directly over and asked Lin Yuan to use spiritual magic directly on the 4 people to control them all. Even though they were unwilling and tried their best to resist, they had no ability to resist and could only be forced to accept the spiritual magic and truly became a member of Foggy Valley. But then, Zhou Daocheng did not embarrass the Qin family, but came to help them settle down in Wugu. This valley in the southeast was given to the Qin family to live in. It covers an area of about 5 acres. It is neither too big nor too small, but it is enough for a small family to live in. However, Zhou Daocheng did not dig out the soil from the ground, so there are many rocks here, which is not suitable for cultivating spiritual fields and looks relatively deserted. Moreover, Zhou Daocheng also deliberately adjusted the concentration of spiritual energy here, barely maintaining the first level of high grade, just enough to supply the cultivators in the later stage of qi refining. Even so, the Qin family was satisfied with the situation. At least they had a place to live, and their clansmen were still alive, so they could still develop in the future. Moreover, being able to develop in the Wugu market, the future potential might be greater than in the Bei market, and they also had rich business experience, so they had a chance to make a comeback. More importantly, the Qin family still had one biggest hope, and Qin Mu. This was a talented second spiritual cultivator, who had a high probability of breaking through the foundation building stage and would represent the future of the entire Qin family. However, this future was completely tied to the Lord of the Wugu. As night fell, the Qin family valley became dim, but fortunately Zhou Daocheng had someone send them a batch of living supplies. There were luminous stones, meat, pots, bowls, bedding, and other daily necessities, so they didn't live like savages. They opened caves in the surrounding rock walls and licked their wounds silently. The yellow luminous stones illuminated the dim valley. And Qin Mu stayed alone in the valley. After a long mental struggle, she set out to the Wugu market. Looking at the brightly lit market in front of her, Aunt Qin Mu couldn't help but feel dazed. This was a scene she rarely saw in Bei market. Chapter 307, Fragrant Medicinal Bath. There is actually nightlife in Beifang City, but it is far less lively than Wuyifang City. Looking around, there are bright street lamps standing on both sides of the entire street, and the lights are also shining through the windows of row upon row of shops. On the street, a large number of casual cultivators kept pouring in from outside, chatting and joking with each other, or carrying huge corpses of monsters, or carrying huge packages. It was obvious that they had gained a lot. There are also many small stalls on the roadside selling various items. However, most of these small stalls are inferior and of low value. As long as there are conditions, most people will still enter the shops to buy, and the business environment in Wuyifang City is very good. Although there is competition between them, they are all within the rules of the city, which is relatively more harmonious. Aunt Qin Mu walked all the way, looking at the scene in front of her in a daze, passing through the crowded crowd, and finally came to the even more crowded Danchai Xianju. Danchai Xianju is a landmark building in Wuyifang City and has long been famous. The tavern on the first floor supplies a variety of fine wines of different qualities, including the lowest quality and low-priced Bingdozi. There is also the higher quality, mellow and mild Yue brewing, and even the second level leaks in Zhou. Different monks can find suitable wine here, and the atmosphere in the tavern is extremely hot. Tables of all sizes are full of people, all casual monks in different clothes. The enthusiastic voices can be heard outside the house. Aunt Kinmu walked in slowly, not looking at the smoky atmosphere here, and couldn't help but frown. There were even many drunk casual cultivators who, after seeing the charming and enchanting Aunt Kinmu, whistled without any scruples and came up to try to strike up a conversation. However, she calmed down when she saw Aunt Kinmu asking a clerk and then walking upstairs. Because anyone who can go upstairs must be a being with a higher status. Whether it is a private room on the second floor or a medicinal bath on the third, fourth or fifth floors, the price is far from comparable to the spiritual wine on the first floor, and most casual cultivators cannot afford it. Aunt Kinmu came to the second floor, and just as she was about to enter the private room, the communication stone in her arms vibrated, and news from Zhou Daocheng came. After taking a look, he walked towards the fourth floor and came to the Qin-Yang medicinal bath on the fourth floor. When I looked around, I saw a row of small, airtight rooms. The walkway outside the rooms was misty and extremely humid, with a lot of mist rising. It was the first time for Aunt Kinmu to see such an environment. She cautiously came to a certain private room, paused outside the door for a long time, and then carefully opened the door. A thicker mist hit his face, carrying a moist and warm breath. In just a short moment, the heat wave had already made his forehead covered with sweat, and his originally pale face became rosy. Zhou Daocheng's calm voice came, "Come in, change into a bathrobe, and then come down and take a bath." Aunt Kinmu gritted her teeth and pushed the door open. She saw an exquisite entrance hall in front of her. Through the entrance hall, she could see inside. It was a bathhouse completely shrouded in thick mist. The orange-red medicinal bath was like the sunset. On the right side of the outer entrance is a small room. Entering it, you can see cabinets for storing clothes and white cotton bathrobes neatly arranged. Aunt Kinmu's face turned slightly red, and she began to change her clothes. She took off her lavender cheongsam and obscene clothes, took off her shoes and socks, then wrapped herself in a snow-white bath towel, and stepped barefoot into the bathtub that could not be covered. The whole body of the bath is made of stones. It is not cold when you step on it, but it has a warm feeling because of the bath medicine. Zhou Daocheng lay comfortably in it, feeling the turbid air being burned away, making his body extremely transparent and comfortable. Medicinal bath is not only a cultivation resource of great value, but also an entertainment enjoyment that relieves fatigue and brings pleasant feelings. Whenever Zhou Daocheng has free time, he will come and take a bath to relax his tired body. However, when he opened his eyes and looked at Aunt Kinmu, he couldn't help but twitch his lips and said, "You put on a bath towel to take a bath, so that the towel can absorb more medicinal power." Aunt Kinmu, take it off. This bath towel is very expensive. You will lose money if you soak in it like this. Aunt Kinmu buried her head, and finally in the bathtub, she took off the towel and placed it on the stone beside her. The fair and bright shoulders were stained with moisture in the mist, but they were still eye-catchingly white, with a warm luster, outlining the perfect back contour. She was fully immersed in the bathtub, with the water reaching up to her chin, just covering her body, and thus avoiding some embarrassment. However, Aunt Kinmu did not persist for a few seconds. Her face immediately turned red, she could not stop trembling, and her expression was extremely ugly. Zhou Daocheng glanced at her and said helplessly, "This is a whole pack of Qin-Yang medicinal bath medicinal pack. It can be used by 5 monks in the late stage of qi refining. The medicinal power is very strong. If you really can't bear it, you can go out and take a rest." Tone. Aunt Kinmu's expression froze, but she finally gritted her teeth and endured it. However, the extremely strong medicinal power has a strong stimulating effect, like a burning flame burning the skin and veins. Even Zhou Daocheng could not resist the pain. Therefore, Aunt Kinmu only held on for 3 breaths before getting out of the bath with a soaring sound. Her extremely enchanting and seductive body curves, with a slight voluptuousness, and the crystal light red liquid hanging on them, instantly made the entire bath get fragrant. Aunt Kinmu did not dare to hesitate and hurriedly put on her bathrobe, but even after leaving the bath, She could still feel the burning and pain on her skin. After just a few seconds, when the pain and burning sensation disappeared, the numbness followed, making people want to moan with comfort. Aunt Kinmu was also surprised to find that her body became unusually transparent under the nourishment of the medicine, and wisps of black turbid air floated out, and even the circulation of spiritual energy in her body became much smoother. Good stuff. This was the only thought in her mind, and she was also quite surprised. I don't know where the Lord of the Fog Valley got such a special thing. Judging from the effect alone, it is almost not inferior to some top-level elixirs, and even has abilities that elixirs do not have. So after hesitating for a moment, she took off her bathrobe and got into the pool again. This time she could hold on longer and her body was cleaned more thoroughly. But after about 5 breaths, she got out again. Although she was very ashamed of showing her body, she really couldn't endure the pain for a long time. She repeated this process about 5 or 6 times before she was completely accustomed to the burning sensation in the medicinal bath, and her body was completely cleansed. Chapter 308. One night, when Zhou Daocheng saw this scene, he couldn't help but sigh. He was truly worthy of being an Erlangen monk. He had completely adapted to the Qinyang medicinal bath in such a short time. He couldn't do this back then. At the same time, I am also a little regretful that I have only watched such a beautiful scene 5 or 6 times. It is indeed a bit unfinished. I also have to sigh that Aunt Kinmu is indeed a beauty in the world, and her stunning appearance and figure are indeed alluring. And in comparison, it has a completely different style from Zhao Yunzhi and Fu Qinya. Zhao Yunzhi is slightly thin, Fu Qinya is well proportioned and strong, but Aunt Kinmu is completely different. With extremely exaggerated body proportions, extremely voluptuous, and a good sense of voluptuousness. Although he is only in his early 20s, he has a more mature temperament. Fortunately, he, Zhou Daocheng, was not a lustful person and did not show his bestiality. If it had been someone else, Aunt Kinmu would have been exhausted by now. After a period of medicinal bathing, the awkward atmosphere in the room weakened a lot, and the two parties became much closer. Both of them soaked in the orange-red bath water, comfortably enjoying the burning and hot sensation in the liquid. Aunt Kinmu suddenly asked, "Master Wugu, did you specifically ask me to take a bath with you?" Zhou Daocheng did not open his eyes and said calmly, "Besides taking a bath, what other ideas do you have?" Aunt Kinmu was stunned, smiled faintly, and said, "I thought you would attack me directly, or humiliate me." Zhou Daocheng was stunned for a moment. After pausing for a few breaths, he said in a serious tone, "In terms of talent, you are a monk with 2 spiritual roots. You are extremely talented and have a great future. In terms of identity, you are a foundation-building force named Zen. The descendants of the pavilion have a fairly deep background. In the end, from a character point of view, you can devote your future to the family and be willing to be humiliated by me. No matter what, I should not humiliate you." Aunt Kinmu looked over with beautiful eyes and looked at the man in front of her with some surprise. This was the first time that she really saw Zhou Daocheng's face through the bronze mask. He looked like an elegant young man, with a maturity, stability, and even majesty that did not match his age. "So you just want to take a bath with me and don't plan to do anything else?" Aunt Kinmu supported her head and leaned on the stone steps behind her, asking curiously. "Of course not." Zhou Daocheng raised his eyes and said without hiding anything, "Although I have no feelings for you, and I am not a person driven by beauty, but by combining with you, I can bring a lot of benefits, so of course I have to take it. Can you get any benefits from combining with me?" Aunt Kinmu's eyebrows showed a thoughtful look, and then she asked with speculation, "The secret method of yin and yang harvesting?" But, when she said this word, her own face couldn't help but turn a little pale. This kind of secret method is not a good thing. It is often harmful to others. If it is some extremely evil secret method, it will be extremely painful, cause great damage to the body, and may even damage the spiritual root talent. Zhou Daocheng just glanced at her lightly and understood what she was thinking, and said, "Don't worry, this secret method benefits oneself but does not harm others. It is only good for me, but it will not cause harm to you." Impact. Hearing this, Aunt Kinmu was thoughtful and asked with some disbelief, "Is this really true?" Zhou Daocheng said calmly, "I don't need to lie to you. So before, you didn't deliberately humiliate me, but you just wanted to use the secret method to gain benefits from me?" Zhou Daocheng did not deny it and said directly, "You can be the head of your kin family with peace of mind, as long as you have no second thoughts. I will not take action against your kin family, but occasionally, I will ask you to practice secret techniques without any shame. I mean, just take something I need." The two sides looked at each other. Zhou Daocheng's expression was calm, without any hint of lust, and his eyes were as clear as a pool of water. Seeing this, Aunt Kin mused slightly and chose to believe it. After thinking for a long time, Qiru Lan said, "Master Wu Gu, why can't you directly become a Taoist partner with me? Wouldn't it be more convenient?" Zhou Daocheng thought for a while and said, "There are two reasons. First of all, I already have a Taoist companion, and there is more than one. If I accept you as a Taoist companion again, I will be somewhat disrespectful to you, and as the head of the kin family, after all, you still need reputation and prestige, otherwise it will be difficult to develop in Foggy Bottom. Secondly, there is no affection between you and me. We can each take what we need. There is no need for us to be tied up for the sake of profit." But, after saying this, Zhou Daocheng couldn't help but want to slap himself. Such words were really shameless, and indeed a bit scumbag. However, there is absolutely no way that he would let go of Aunt Kinmu's wisp of innate purple energy just because of his face. He wants face. He also wants these. Aunt Kinmu took a deep breath and seemed to understand the thoughts of the Lord of Fog Valley, and she felt much calmer. If he really deliberately humiliated her, treated her as a plaything, took pleasure in suppressing her dignity and face, and even put small shoes on her and the kin family, that would be what she was most worried about. However, if it is frank, both parties are honest, and the transaction is clearly stated on the face of it, Aunt Kinmu will be able to accept it. At least she could see a glimmer of hope. In this case, it is equivalent to a transaction between you and me. You take what you want from me, and my kin family just wants a safe environment to develop and survive here. Aunt Kinmu, he said seriously, looking at Zhou Daocheng seriously. "Okay, I can promise you that from now on, the kin family's status in Wugu will be the same as that of the Wang family and Xiadan Pavilion. As long as you don't have second thoughts, I will definitely not make things difficult for you, and I will also help you develop again." After hearing the accurate reply, Aunt Kinmu breathed a sigh of relief, and a trace of fatigue on relief appeared deep in her eyes. At least for now, the face crisis faced by the kin family has finally been avoided, although the cost is unimaginably high. "Then, Aunt Mu, please thank Mr. Wu Gu." Kin Mu's eyes were rippling, and he supported his body with his white arms, and stood up in the bathtub with his concave and convex silhouette. The water in the pool just reached his navel, and it had an excellent sense of beauty in the smoke. The water flowed softly, with a crisp sound, and the graceful figure approached, and the atmosphere became subtle. Zhou Daocheng slowly opened his eyes and saw Aunt Kinmu approaching step by step. She raised her slender and plump legs, crossed her body, and sat on Zhou Daocheng's legs. Her jade-like hands were placed on her shoulders, and her red lips were close to her. The ear exhaled hot air with a little itchness. "I agree to this deal, sir. Don't forget your promise." Zhou Daocheng's breathing became no longer calm at this moment. The water in the pool fluctuated, splashing, and the sound was dull. Chapter 309 Banquet. The next morning, Aunt Kinmu was like a water snake, with her lips slightly pursed and her eyebrows slightly wrinkled, and she fell asleep on the stone slab of the bathtub. Zhou Daocheng covered her with a dry bathrobe and left Dan Chizianju, feeling the extra strand of innate purple qi in his body. Zhou Daocheng felt particularly comfortable. This strand of innate purple qi was slightly smaller than the previous strand of Fukinya. After all, the gap in strength between the two sides was there. Aunt Kinmu had just broken through to the 9th level of qi refining, so she was naturally not as good as Fukinya, who was at the third level of foundation establishment. With these two strands of innate purple qi, Zhou Daocheng could make more attempts and greatly improve his strength in a short period of time. He was also considering where to use the innate purple qi to make it more cost-effective. Should it be used directly on spirit beasts and spirit plants, or should it be used on formations, talismans, magic tools, elixirs and other items? A long time ago, Zhou Daocheng seriously thought about this problem, but he never made a choice. Forget it. Let's not think about it for now. Let's go back to Zhu's house first. I remember that today seems to be the day when Uncle Zhao Yunzhi gets married. Zhou Daocheng temporarily gave up the idea of using the innate purple qi. And today is a very special day. Zhao Yunzhi and the Yan sisters will officially become Taoist couples today. At the same time, although Yuanzong and Tang Rong have already become Taoist couples, they did not set up a banquet. So this time they will also organize it together. Both parties are relatively important members of Wugu, and they have a close relationship with Zhou Daocheng, so such a wedding banquet naturally needs to be attended. In fact, at the beginning, Zhou Daocheng was a little strange in his heart. Whether it was Zhao Yunzhi, Yuanzong and Tang Rong, they were reluctant to organize a banquet before. After all, there were many things to do. So how could they have time to organize a banquet? But for some reason, they suddenly agreed now, and they seemed to be in a hurry. As a result, they found out that it turned out that the younger sister Yan Xianglin was pregnant with Zhao Yunzhi's child. If they did not become Taoist couples, there would be some trouble after the child was born. On the other side, Tang Rong and Yuanzong were in the same situation. They originally thought that they could delay and become Taoist couples later, but they didn't expect that they would get pregnant so soon, so they had to become Taoists as couples soon as possible. Zhou Daocheng could only smile helplessly and strongly support this matter. He was also happy to see this kind of thing. Whether it is becoming Taoist couples or reproducing offspring, this is a good start, which is very beneficial to the future development of Wuyifang City. Whether it is a force or a family, it is not only about the present, but also about the future. So spreading branches and leaves and reproducing offspring have always been very important. Moreover, the environment during this period was relatively turbulent, causing the people of Wuyifang City to panic. Such a happy event happened to dilute the tense atmosphere in Wuyifang City. When Zhou Daocheng arrived, the banquet had already begun, with lights and decorations everywhere, and people coming and going were very lively. The two pairs of Taoists worked together, with Zhou Daocheng and Zhao, two foundation-building cultivators, as witnesses. The scene was extremely lively and grand. At least for the small Wugu market, it was definitely a feast. After all, being able to have two foundation-building masters participate can attract the attention of a large number of cultivators just by virtue of their reputation. Even Zhou Daocheng, the lord of Wugu, appeared at the scene and offered blessings and gifts to the two pairs of Taoists. Zhou Daocheng was not stingy either. He gave 1,000 spirit stones to each person, which made many people extremely envious and amazed at the generosity of the Lord of Wugu. Of course, these 1,000 spirit stones are not just gifts, but also funds for the future development of the two pairs of Taoists. Zhao Yunzhi is a member of the Zhou family. Zhou Daocheng took this opportunity to provide a sum of spirit stones to his uncle. Whether it is used to improve his own strength or to cultivate his own offspring, it is very good. Yuanzong and Tang Rong, both of them are capable assistants of Zhou Daocheng, and Yuanzong's injury was left to protect Wugu, so they can be regarded as the closest group of hands. The two have just settled down in Wugu market, and it takes a lot of money to buy and run a shop. Zhou Daocheng just happened to help them. If Yuanzong can really expand the Yuan family, it is equivalent to providing fresh blood for Wugu, which can make Zhou Daocheng have more people available. Therefore, Zhou Daocheng showed great support for the two teams of Taoists. This banquet was also carried out in a lively atmosphere and lasted for a whole day and night. Zhou Daocheng only stayed for a while and left first, then found Yuanzong and Tang Rong in secret and had a conversation with them. The two of them had been thinking about what kind of industry to run in order to have long-term benefits and bring benefits to Wugu. Alchemy, refining, making talismans, or formations? These are all very good choices, but it's a pity that the two have no foundation and their talents can only be regarded as average, so they can only give up. In addition, spiritual plant masters, puppet masters, beast masters, bartenders, spiritual chefs, etc., which are relatively niche and have relatively low profits, are actually good choices. Unfortunately, after thinking for a long time, the two still haven't found a suitable one for them. Zhou Daocheng even suggested to the two last time, asking them if they are willing to learn the technology of making spiritual boats. If they are willing, Zhou Daocheng can take out some simple spiritual boat technology for them to learn initially. It's a pity that the spirit boat involves too many techniques, and the difficulty is even higher than that of refining weapons and talismans. With the talents of the two of them, they can't get started. After a few days of learning, they can't figure out the way at all, so in the end they can only give up. Zhou Daocheng also regretted this very much, but after the experience of this failure, he also understood the difficulty of the spirit boat technology. If you are an ordinary monk with no experience at all, there is a high probability that you will not be able to figure out the skills at all. You will probably only have weapon refiners, formation masters, talisman masters, etc. If you have a high foundation, it should be easier to learn the spirit boat technology. And it is best to be proficient in multiple skills at the same time, and the difficulty will be relatively lower. For example, if Zhou Daocheng himself is a second-level low-level formation mage and a first-level mid-level weapon refiner, it will be relatively easy to learn the spirit boat technology. As for Yuanzong and Tangrong, Zhou Daocheng thought about it and decided not to put too much pressure on them. It would be more appropriate to find a simple way out for them. Zhou Daocheng looked at the two of them and asked, "Yuanzong, how have you been discussing recently? Do you have any plans to run any industry?" Yuanzong and Tangrong looked at each other, scratched their heads, smiled honestly and said, "Senior, wrong, and I went back and chatted for a long time, and found that we really don't know anything else. We have been casual cultivators all our lives. In addition to being able to carry hunting apart from team hunting, I can't seem to do anything else." Chapter 310 The Yuan Family's Business. Zhou Daocheng's mouth twitched. Even when the two of them left the hunting team and failed to do anything after that, and didn't even know how to run a store, Zhou Daocheng didn't feel uncomfortable. At most, he just helped the two of them. But just now, when he saw the two people being so crooked and shouting the word wrong, Zhou Daocheng had to admit that he was still disgusted. Looking at the two of them with some disgust, Zhou Daocheng curled his lips and said, "Is it possible that you still plan to continue to be a hunting team? Are there still shortages of people there, Senior?" "It turns out that we really don't know anything else," Yuanzong said seriously. Zhou Daocheng's face turned even darker. Rather than letting them continue to return to the hunting team, Zhou Daocheng still hoped that they would form a family, multiply and grow, and preferably take on other responsibilities. Therefore, Zhou Daocheng resolutely refused. "No, you can join the hunting team whenever you want, and leave whenever you want. Now that you have established a family, you can be my head with peace of mind, and run your family well." Such a decisive answer made Yuanzong scratch his head in embarrassment. They could truly feel that the Lord of Fog Valley took great care of them. Not only did he agree to their withdrawal from the hunting team, but he also provided them with shops, spiritual fields, spiritual stones and other necessary resources to develop their families. Finally, he also provided them with precious spiritual boat technology. Let them learn. It's a pity that their abilities are indeed insufficient and there is nothing they are good at, which is really disappointing. Zhou Daocheng touched his chin and kept thinking in his mind, what kind of industry is suitable for Yuanzong? What are the advantages of Yuanzong and Tangrong? After more than 10 minutes of thinking, Zhou Daocheng's head was filled with smoke, and he finally came up with an industry suitable for the two of them. Zhou Daocheng held his chin, looked at the two of them, and said, You should know a lot of casual cultivators, right?" Hearing this, Yuanzong was stunned for a moment, then nodded and said, "Indeed, after all, he has been a casual cultivator all his life, so he still has some connections." "Have You ever thought about forming a mercenary team, or something similar to a hunting team, but with a wider scope of operations? Yuanzong frowned after hearing this, and after a long time he shook his head and said, "Senior, I don't quite understand what you mean." Zhou Daocheng explained, "In Fang City, there are many small and medium-sized forces that are weak when they go out to transport supplies or collect resources without strong protection. They usually hire more powerful casual cultivators to escort them. Or, like the Wang family and Zhao Pavilion, when they lack some kind of elixir or are in urgent need of some talisman-making materials, they will hire casual cultivators to go out and look for them. However, they usually can only find idle cultivators, like the hunting team and Wuya Fang City. They don't have the ability to call them, which also results in the relatively weak cultivators they can hire. If you can use the resources at your hand to build a platform to specifically supply these forces with hiring casual cultivators and help them complete some simple employment tasks, and you can earn commissions from it. Can you do this?" Zhou Daocheng explained in as much detail as possible, but after he finished speaking, he still saw confusion and clear stupidity in the eyes of Yuanzong and Tangrong. "Senior... Can you tell me directly what to do? I don't understand these principles either." Zhou Daocheng was speechless for a moment and rubbed his brows with difficulty. Finally, he sighed helplessly and stopped trying to explain the principle. Instead, he asked directly, "How many casual cultivators do you have, or how many casual cultivators can you contact to work under you?" Yuanzong thought for a while and then said, "Currently, there are 7 guest ministers in my Yuan family. They are all late-stage qi refining forces and they can all listen to my arrangements. If we want to recruit another group, with my connections, we can also find a lot of mid-stage qi refining casual cultivators." Zhou Daocheng nodded and said, "The number is not small. You can form them into a mercenary team and take on tasks issued by small forces to earn spiritual stones. But, at first, the business will not be very good. You can first contact large forces such as Wang family and Zhao Pavilion and ask them to help publicize it. When there is an urgent need for certain elixirs and materials, hire your team to go out and search for them, to spread the reputation. I think it won't be long before some small forces with insufficient strength will start paying to hire your team, and business will gradually improve." Later, worried that Yuanzong would not understand, Zhou Daocheng also specially proposed several business directions. First of all, the first type, as mentioned just now, in the process of refining elixirs, forging magic weapons, and making talismans, sometimes one of the materials is urgently needed, and it happens to be unavailable in the market, so you need to go to the wild to find it immediately. At this time, if this force cannot spare manpower, they can hire casual cultivators to go out and search for them. The second type is that if a small force cannot mobilize enough strong men to transport goods, they can also ask Yuanzong's monks to escort them. The third type is that for some important elixirs, magical instruments, and talismans, if the demand for a certain material is very high, you can issue a task to purchase this material in large quantities from casual quantities cultivators. The fourth type can assist other forces or casual cultivators to surround and kill these stronger beasts. The fifth kind. In short, the tasks that can be assigned cover all aspects, and these casual cultivators can be hired to complete all aspects of needs. As for Yuanzong, all he has to do is actually build a platform. Customers in need can issue various tasks on this platform and obtain certain conveniences at the cost of spiritual stones. And some independent teams without a certain income can take tasks on this platform and earn spirit stones. But at the beginning, they were worried that someone would issue a task but no one would take it, so Yuanzong needed to train a group of people to complete some new tasks. When he becomes famous in the future, he can let other independent teams join and take tasks on this platform. At that time, Yuanzong's task will be relatively simple. He only needs to operate this platform and earn spirit stones from both customers and independent practitioners. Customers with needs need to pay a small amount of spirit stones to issue tasks, which is considered to be borrowing Yuanzong's platform. And independent teams who want to join this system need to pay a certain amount of spirit stones, and when they take tasks and obtain spirit stones later, the platform also needs to extract a part. Although the amount of these spirit stones is relatively small, as long as the number of tasks is large enough, it must be a very considerable income. The more Zhou Daocheng thought about it, the better he felt that this idea was. It was simply killing 3 birds with 1 stone. On the one hand, it helped the forces in need to develop and supply them with various materials and resources they needed. On the other hand, it also provides better development for independent practitioners, allowing them to have clear goals and know what they should do. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 311, officially heading to the 100 Insect Poison Swamp. In the past, casual cultivators were aimless most of the time, hunting monsters in the wild at will, and the rewards they received were not high. Finally, as the builder of the platform, Yuanzong is naturally the biggest profiteer. In addition to being able to obtain a large number of spiritual stones, he can also understand the movements of various forces and casual cultivators, thereby obtaining a large amount of intelligence. This will help Zhou Daocheng further control the market and understand the situation of all parties. If one day, all forces are using this platform to issue tasks, and all casual cultivators are also using this platform to receive tasks, then the benefits gained will be very considerable. After thinking about the general framework, Zhou Daocheng also made a decision to let Yuanzong run this industry. Moreover, Zhou Daocheng directly named it Shanghai Pavilion. The reason for not using Yuan as the name is also because if you want to build this huge platform, the strength of Yuanzong and the two of them will definitely not be enough, and they will probably need the help of Zhou Daocheng. Therefore, Zhou Daocheng should become the largest shareholder, with Yuanzong and his wife as the persons in charge. The construction of the Shanghai Pavilion is not that easy. Zhou Daocheng will help them and take the lead in paving the road ahead to make it easier for them to walk in the future. The first thing to do next is to open up the channels. After the banquet, Zhou Daocheng took the two of them directly to visit the Zhou family, Wang family, Zidane Pavilion, Spirit Snake Sect, and even the Qin family of Zun Pavilion who had just joined. Let them take care of the business of Shanghai Pavilion as much as possible. If necessary in the future, they will not have to find other casual cultivators, but can go directly to Shanghai Pavilion. These important forces in Fog Valley immediately agreed after seeing the Lord of Fog Valley coming in person. Moreover, they were very thoughtful, keenly aware of Zhou Daocheng's intentions, and also intended to promote this matter. In this way, things will be much simpler. If necessary, all forces will no longer look for casual cultivators, but will hand over most tasks to Yuanzong's Shanghai Pavilion to complete. Although it will not have a big impact in a short period of time, once the time is extended, this phenomenon will affect other forces and casual cultivators. Moreover, Zhou Daocheng was already prepared in his heart. The time when the Shanghai Pavilion would really take effect would be after the establishment of Donglinfang City. At that time, due to the influence of Donglinfang City, a large number of forces will inevitably gather around, the demand will naturally increase, and the tasks of Shanghai Pavilion will naturally increase. At the same time, the war brought a larger number of casual cultivators, and these are the people who can be absorbed by the Shanghai Pavilion. Of course, these developments will be left to Yuanzong and the others to handle. As the Lord of Fog Valley, Zhou Daocheng only needs to grasp the general direction. Now that the road has been paved, Zhou Daocheng naturally no longer cares about it. Moreover, the matter is not particularly important and will not have much impact on the future development of Wugu. Otherwise, it would not be handed over to Yuanzong and Tang Rong for management. If they can develop through this, they will eventually become a very important family. If they really can't do it, they will have to find another way out. After dealing with this matter, Zhou Daocheng put most of his mind back to the refining of Tu Ling's Yash, because just in the past few days, the Wang family of Canyon Mountain and the Tang family of Tan Puppet had officially sent monks to Beikong Poison Swamp. Moreover, all the foundation building forces have recently sent strong men. The situation immediately became complicated, and Zhou Daocheng had to make preparations in all aspects. Lin Zion, the leader of the Dsu sect, and Qin Qiu, the leader of the Spirit Snake sect, have already contacted him and have agreed that they will rush to the 100 insect poison swamp together in the near future to participate in the next cleanup task. When the Wang family and Canyon Shan didn't come, he could naturally fish in troubled waters and just shout slogans instead of doing serious business. However, when all the forces gathered together and really started to clean up the 100 insect poison swamp, they naturally could not stay out of the matter. If they tried to be clever at this time, they would be a slap in the face of the two major Purple Mansion forces. Therefore, Zhou Daocheng also needs to make preparations in advance and choose a group of monks who can go together. As for the foundation building monks, Zhou Daocheng himself must go, and he should also bring his eldest brother Zhu Doubai with him, while Zizao and Fu Qinya are stationed in Wuyifang City. This is the most suitable arrangement. Zhou Daocheng and Zhu Doubai are not weak and can cope with most situations. And Wu also needs to leave a strong enough combat force to ensure that it will not be damaged in the ensuing chaos. In addition, they will bring a few more 9th level Qi refining experts, led by 2 foundation building experts, with the 9th level Qi refining team members to form a higher quality hunting team. With such combat power, he can probably barely gain a foothold in the 100 insects poison swamp, and as Zhou Daocheng, there is a high probability that he does not need to go to clean up the monsters in person. After all, he can provide the Earth Spirit Cottage and is also a 2nd level formation master. Even the Wang family of Canyon Mountain will protect him. Therefore, Zhou Daocheng still has confidence in his own safety. However, in order to further ensure his own safety and obtain maximum benefits in the subsequent development, he made some other secret preparations. It didn't take long to prepare. Only 2 days had passed. Lin Zion, the leader of the Dsu sect, brought the Dsu sect team to Wuyifang City and asked Zhou Daocheng if he would go with him. Zhou Daocheng agreed without hesitation. Now that the situation is volatile, if we can act together, security will naturally be higher. Moreover, the 3 forces of Fog Valley, Earthly Evil Sect, and Spiritual Snake Sect are now completely bound together and are considered allies. The next action will naturally be to advance and retreat together. So the 2 sides briefly exchanged views and led the team to the insect poison swamp together. Zhou Daocheng took a simple look and found that the team configuration of the Earthly Evil Sect was not weak. There were 2 foundation building masters, and 8 9th level Qi refining cultivators were brought tonight. This was already the majority of the combat power of the Earthly Evil Sect. As far as he knew, the Earthly Evil Sect was likely to have 4 foundation building masters. They were the leader of the Earthly Evil Sect, Lin Zion, the Great Elder Luo Chengfeng, and the 2nd level Puppet. In addition, they had previously obtained a foundation building pill, which was probably used, and secretly cultivated a foundation building master. With such strength, even among the foundation building forces, it was already very impressive. As long as they did not suffer too much danger, they would probably be able to ensure their safety in the future. The 2 sides hurried on their way. Because there were 4 strong foundations builders, they did not encounter any danger along the way. They easily killed any monsters and harvested a batch of monster materials. However, halfway, when they were still 2 days away from the 100 insects poison swamp, the 2 sides encountered a team from another force. This force was called Yu Longman, a powerful foundation builder with 2 strong foundation builders. Chapter 312 Contribution Points. There was a foundation building expert in the team, and 7 or 8 young disciples in the late stage of Qi refining, who should be the young descendants of the sect. When the 2 sides met, they were extremely vigilant, especially when they saw that there were 4 foundation building experts in the team of Wugu and Dsu sect. The leader of Yu Longman was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. However, soon, both sides just thought about it for a while and figured out each other's identity. Zhou Daocheng asked first, "May I ask, fellow Taoist, Are you going to the 100 Insects Poison Swamp to cooperate with the Wang family of Canyon Mountain to clean up the monsters? The leader of Yu Longmen was a kind-looking old man with a white beard. Hearing this, his eyes moved, and after bowing, he said, "Yes, I am the great elder of Yu Longmen, Bai Yan. May I ask who you are?" Zhou Daocheng did not hide it, and said loudly, "I am from Wugu Market. You can call me fellow Taoist Wugu." The others also introduced themselves. Zhu, family of Wuyifang City, Zhu Daobai. Lin, Zioan of Disu sect. I have heard of the name of Yulongmen for a long time. Luo, Changfeng of Disu sect. Hearing this, Bai Yan's eyes lit up and he let down his guard. He looked at the people in front of him with interest and said with a smile, "I have heard of your reputation for a long time. I didn't expect to see you in person today. You are really a dragon and a phoenix." Lin Zioan laughed happily and said, "Brother Bai, you are too kind. It is our fate to meet here. How about we go together? We can take care of each other on the way." "I appreciate Brother Lin's kindness, but I have to collect a special medicinal material nearby. It is urgently needed by the sect, so I will not go with the four brothers." "Brother Bai, you are polite. Then we will go first. Goodbye." The two sides just met by chance. Without much communication, they went in different directions. Normally, even if they encounter teams from other forces in the wild, they will most likely not take the initiative together. After all, for Yu Longmen, the Wuyifang City and Disu sect, which have 4 foundation-building masters, are too dangerous. Therefore, Zhou Daocheng did not force it and quickly rushed to the 100 Insect Poison Swamp. However, this encounter also made him roughly understand that the forces of all parties who defected to the Canyon Shan Wang family should have sent teams to the 100 Insect Poison Swamp, and the next cleanup task should also start soon. After all, at this time, the Canyon Shan Wang family and the Tangai Tang family were still under pressure from the King Shan sect. They had to clean up the 100 Insect Poison Swamp as soon as possible, using it as a stable rear base, and then conduct subsequent games with the King Shan sect. Therefore, when Zhou Daocheng and others arrived, many forces had already arrived, including the teams of the Canyon Shan Wang family and the Tangai Zhu family. These two major Purple Mansion forces probably have a means of traveling similar to the Kingfeng shuttle, so although they left late, they arrived in a very short time. As for the other foundation-building forces, they should have started their journey a month ago and are only arriving now. Looking around, there are probably more than 20 forces, most of which occupy an area, and some of them are closely related and gather together. In the center of all the forces, there are 2 palace-type magic tools, which are different in style, but are strong, tall and majestic, and exude a noble and powerful aura. It is obvious that they are the work of the 2 major Purple Mansion forces. For many powerful forces, they will build this kind of exclusive palace-type magic tool, which can not only carry cultivators on the road, but also be used for living. It is also a very powerful magic tool in battle. It is a magic tool with a wide range of uses, but also very expensive. Generally speaking, the quality of this kind of palace-type magic tool is at least the 2nd grade upper grade, and many have even reached the 3rd grade, which is far beyond the ability of ordinary forces to afford. Zhou Daocheng looked at it with envy, and secretly made up his mind, "I must obtain a method for making a palace-type magic tool in the future, which can be regarded as truly joining the ranks of the strong." Although the cave-type formation is indeed very practical, it is not high-end after all and cannot show identity and status. After looking around, Zhou Daocheng found Qin Shu, the leader of the Spirit Snake sect, in the crowd. Xuansh Mountain is the closest, so he naturally arrived early. When he saw Zhou Daocheng and Lin Zioan, he immediately waved and greeted them, "Fellow Taoist Wugu, fellow Taoist Lin." So it also attracted the attention of others, and they immediately looked in this direction. Obviously, they were very curious about the legendary Wugu Market, the leader of the Spirit Snake sect, and the leader of the Earth Demon sect. After all, it was these 3 shameless people who accelerated the speed of standing in line. Originally, they might have been able to talk about the conditions, but now no one dared to mention it. Zhou Daocheng didn't care about the eyes of the people around him. Anyway, he was wearing a mask and no one knew him, so he was as thick-skinned as he could be. On the contrary, Lin Zion, after all, as the leader of an old force, many people knew him. At this moment, his old face blushed and nodded to the eyes cast around him. But in the current situation, even if someone has a problem with Zhou Daocheng and the other two, they dare not show it. After all, the incident has already happened. He is now working for the Wang family of Canyon Mountain and the Tang family of Tankui. If he provokes a dispute at will, he will definitely not be forgiven. Even if necessary, he should build a good relationship with Zhou Daocheng and the other two, so that the road ahead will be easier. After Zhou Daocheng greeted Qin Qiu, he asked, "Fellow Taoist Qin, how is the situation now?" Qin Qiu said, "The Wang family and the Tang family are here, and 21 foundation building forces have also come." About a week later, when everyone arrives, we will start to clean up the 100 insects poison swamp. Now you go to the Wang family to report first. Zhou Daocheng nodded. The situation was similar to what he expected. They came neither too late nor too early. It can only be said that it was just right. Lin Zion asked in a somewhat strange way, "Report, which forces are involved in the cleanup?" The two major Purple Mansion families are very clear. "Do we need to report separately?" Qin Qiu nodded and said, "Yes. The number and strength of the cultivators of each force will be recorded. Finally, according to the number of monsters hunted and other factors, the final contribution points will be summarized and can be exchanged for rewards." "I see." Zhou Daocheng suddenly realized, and a hint of joy appeared on his face. "It seems that this action is not completely without benefits." Qin Qiu arranged, "You go and report first, and let his family tell you the details." The few people said no more, and walked quickly to the palace-shaped magic tools of the two major Purple Palace forces. Someone was recording here, and they were two foundation-building masters, who should be from the two major families. "My two fellow Taoists, what information do you need to report?" Zhou Daocheng asked straight to the point. One of the old men smiled and said, "My fellow Taoists, just tell me the name of the power, the number and strength of the foundation-building masters, and the number of the 9th level Qi refining masters." Chapter 313, Evaluating Value. "Oh, do you only need the information of the strong above the 9th level of Qi refining?" The old man nodded and said, "Yes, only the cultivators above the 9th level of Qi refining will be counted as contribution points in the end. Those with too low strength will not count." "I see." Zhou Daocheng learned this specific criteria for obtaining contribution points and had some understanding of the situation. A cultivator with 90% of the weapon refinement level can get 1 contribution point as long as he comes to participate in the cleanup, no matter how much he contributes in the end. The first level of foundation building is 10 points, the second level of foundation building is 30 points, and the third level of foundation building is 50 points. The higher the strength, the higher the points obtained. After Zhou Daocheng reported, a first level of foundation building, because of the second level of foundation building, plus 5 9th level of Qi refining, a total of 45 contribution points were obtained. And Lin Zion alone is worth 50 contribution points, plus 8 9th level of Qi refining strongmen, a total of 58 points. Although I don't know what the contribution points can be exchanged for, and I don't know the specific price, but the points obtained by the two should not be low. After recording the personnel, the old man asked again, "I wonder if the two Taoist friends are proficient in immortal cultivation skills? Or can they provide resources for the next cleanup? You can also report together and exchange them for contribution points." As he said, he also looked at Qin Qiu on the side and gave an example. For example, this fellow Qin Taoist is proficient in beast control technology and provided a batch of spirit beasts, the soul-devouring ants, and a total of 300 contribution points. Zhou Daocheng and Lin Zion were surprised, and some were surprised at the number of contribution points. There were actually 300 points. These were 6th third-level foundation building masters. Qin Qiu also smiled and explained, "I took out the first stage late soul-devouring ants, which can enter the 100 insect poison swamp to find monsters, and can also be alert at night, so the contribution points exchanged are more. Zhou Daocheng thoughtfully. If it is the first stage late soul devouring ant, and the number is relatively large, then it is indeed worth the price. After all, the soul-devouring ant itself has a good strength and can cooperate with the cultivators in battle. It is a very good auxiliary spirit beast. After a rough estimate, Zhou Daocheng roughly guessed that Qin Shi's current contribution points should be more than 400, which is already a considerable number. Lin Ziyuan also showed an envious expression. He knew that Zhou Daocheng and Qin Shi were both proficient in immortal cultivation skills and would definitely be able to obtain a large number of contribution points. And there is a high probability that the number of contribution points that Zhou Daocheng can exchange through the formation is likely to exceed 300. This is indeed the case. Zhou Daocheng truthfully stated his identity as a formation master and took out the cave-type formation Earth Spirit House. The old man took a look and his eyes couldn't help but light up. He said in surprise, "This should be the legendary cave-type formation, right?" Fellow Taoist Wu Gu is indeed very capable, but the value of this formation, I can't estimate it for the time being, and I may need to meet the head of the family in person. Oh, is the head of the Wang family here? It's better to talk in person. Zhou Daocheng temporarily bid farewell to Lin Ziyuan and Qin Shi, and in the envious eyes of the two, he followed the old man into the palace-type palace magic weapon. In a beautiful and luxurious room, the head of the Wang family was seen checking the information. As the head of the Wang family, Wang Yunli needed to take care of the warhead and deal with the cleaning of the 100 insects poison swamp at the same time, so he was naturally very busy. When he saw Zhou Daocheng coming, his eyes lit up, rubbed his eyebrows and said, "Friend Wu Gu, you are here. You should be here to estimate the value of the cave-type formation, right? Let's get started. I still have a lot of things to do." Seeing that the other party was so anxious, Zhou Daocheng didn't hesitate, and directly took out the prepared Earth Spirit House from the storage bag, placed it on the table in front of Wang Yunli, and introduced, "Senior Wang, I have prepared 2 different qualities of Earth Spirit House. Considering the harsh environment of the 100 insects poison swamp, I didn't refine the first level low grade, but I'll refine the first level medium grade and high grade formations. The first level middle grade Earth Spirit House has 10 rooms, which can accommodate 10 monks. It is equipped with a gathering array and a fog array, which can restore spiritual energy and warn monsters. As for the first level upper grade Earth Spirit House, it can also accommodate 10 people, and has stronger defense. It is equipped with 2 sets of gathering arrays for restoring mana, cloud and fog arrays to cover the whereabouts, and poisonous swamp arrays to warn monsters. Moreover, the poisonous swamp array can perfectly integrate with the environment of the 100 insects and poisonous swamps, and it is not easy to be discovered by monsters. While introducing, Zhou Daocheng deployed the 2 arrays and displayed them all in front of Wang Yunli. With just one glance, the head of the Wang family could keenly perceive that these 2 arrays were better than the previous first-level lower-grade Earth Spirit House. Not only did they have stronger defense, but they were also equipped with arrays with other functions. This is no longer a set of arrays, but a combination of several arrays to form a complete small settlement. A weaker chi refining family could even use this cave-type formation as a base. After all, it has the functions of gathering spirits, concealing, and defending, which is better than the base of ordinary forces. Wang Yunli nodded with satisfaction and asked, "Friend Wu Gu, how many sets of these 2 formations have you prepared in total?" Zhou Daocheng answered truthfully, 20 sets of first-level medium-quality formations and 10 sets of first-level high-quality formations. Because of limited time, we can only refine so many. If it is not enough, there are still a few sets of first-level low-quality formations here, but the effect will be worse. Wang Yunli nodded slightly, without blaming him, but instead praised, "It's already good, integrating multiple formations into one formation. This method is not simple. It seems that your formation skills are indeed superb. I think you have reached the level of a second-level formation master, right?" It is indeed a fluke that you have reached the level of a second-level formation master. You don't have to belittle yourself. Just based on your formation skills, You can easily change the formation pattern and integrate the formation, which is difficult for many third-level formation masters to do. It is really amazing. Senior, you are too kind. Zhou Daocheng chose to be more modest for the praise of the head of the Wang family. Wang Yunli stroked his beard and suddenly asked, "Friend Wu Gu, after we clear the poisonous swamp of insects, our Wang family and Cayenne Mountain will officially go to war with King Shan sect. We will need formation masters at that time. Are you willing to go and help our Wang family? Don't worry, you don't need to go to the front line. You just need to refine the formation in the rear or repair the formation destroyed in the front line. As for the reward, our Wang family will never treat you unfairly. Whether it is foundation building pills, high-quality magic tools, or spiritual veins, shops, and various inheritances, as long as you have enough contribution points, we players can provide them." Zhou Daocheng's expression moved. Although he looked calm on the surface, he was very turbulent inside. He couldn't help but sigh that the style of the Zaifu family was different. Chapter 314 Exchange Meeting. For ordinary forces, taking out spiritual stones, elixirs, talismans, and magic weapons as rewards is already a big deal. But as soon as the head of the Wang family opened his mouth, he saw extremely precious things such as foundation building pills, spiritual pulse stations, and shops. They were treasures that could lay the foundation of a party's power. After thinking for a while, Zhou Daocheng responded directly, "No problem, since I have chosen to join the Wang family, why not go to war? Not only me, but other monks in Wu Yifang City can also go to the front line to fight. No matter what I do in the future, let me say the beautiful words first. Moreover, Wu Gu, Spirit Snake Sect, and Disu Sect were the first to jump out and take sides. If they refuse to even go to the battlefield in the end, I'm afraid the Wang family would not let them go. But again, it is absolutely impossible for the Wang family to put them in a dangerous situation. If all three of their forces suffer heavy losses, the other forces will definitely be panicked. In order to stabilize the war situation, the Wang family will deliberately protect these three forces and try their best to let them play a good role and stabilize the morale of the military. Moreover, as an array mage, he does not have to go to the front line at all and can easily obtain a large number of contribution points. Taking this opportunity to exchange for foundation building pills, that is a huge gain. Seeing Zhou Daocheng's attitude, Wang Yunli nodded with satisfaction and said, "My little friend trusts my Wang family so much, and our Wang family will never treat you badly. I will not exchange these 30 sets of tooling cottage for you as a contribution." Clicked. Hearing this, Zhou Daocheng was stunned, but after hearing what Wang Yunli said next, he showed a happy expression. Exchange it directly for spiritual veins and shops. The 100 insect poison swamp stretches for more than 10,000 miles and has a large number of second and third order spiritual veins. You and Wu Gu can choose one at will, including the establishment of Donglin City in the future. I can promise you 3 sets of shops. You can choose by yourself then. Surprise appeared in Zhou Daocheng's eyes and he quickly thanked him. This is a treatment that other forces don't have. Donglin City is a large market, more than 2 levels higher than Wu Yifang City. Any set of shops in it is worth thousands of gold. You must know that back then, the Zhou family spent decades of savings purchasing a shop in Liaoyu and Fang City, and it was only a set of shops near the periphery. Now, the Wang family directly gave him 3 sets of shops, which can definitely bring more than 100,000 spirit stones. Even if they are managed well, the income will only be higher. As for the spiritual veins, this is also a huge surprise. To gain a foothold in this world of immortality, the most important thing is the spiritual veins and the station, and it is best to have a spiritual vein station with high enough quality and favorable geographical conditions. As for the 100 insect poison marsh, as a newly developed land for cultivating immortals, it has a lot of opportunities. Many monks will come here in the future, so it must be an emerging place. Having a spiritual vein here means that there will be vigorous development in the next few decades, or even hundreds of years. Whether you rely on Donglin City to survive or enter the 100 insect poison swamp to explore, It must be a very good choice. Moreover, as the head of the Wang family said, the 100 insect poison swamp has a very wide coverage and contains a large number of spiritual veins, spiritual mines, and spiritual springs. A large number of forces will inevitably settle here in the future. If the Zhou family can occupy a good position, what will happen next? Will also gain a pivotal position in its development. These two awards almost paved the way for Zhou Daocheng in the next few decades, which is not a small feat. Maybe, in this melee in the King Shan sect, not only will the Zhou family and Wu Gu not be destroyed, but they may even rise through it. Until Zhou Daocheng left, he still hadn't recovered from the surprise, and was planning the next plan in his mind. All the way back to the Foggy Valley team's station, in a relatively remote forest. Teams from the Spirit Snake sect, Disu sect, and Wu Gu are all here, and they have already set up a Tuling Lodge and are stationed here to rest. Seeing Zhou Daocheng return, Lin Ziyuan and Qin Qingyu asked curiously, "How is the situation of fellow Taoist? You should have gained a lot of contribution points, right?" Zhou Daocheng shook his head and said with a smile, "No, I changed some other things, but the harvest is pretty good." Seeing that Zhou Daocheng did not elaborate, although the two of them were curious, they did not ask too much. Instead, they changed the topic and said, "By the way, friends, all parties have organized an exchange meeting tonight, and we have also been invited to participate. Do you want to go together?" Exchange? Zhou Daocheng thought about it for a while, nodded and said, "It's good. Just before we clean up the 100 insect poison swamp, we can get acquainted with all the forces, so that things can go smoothly in the future." "That's fine. All three of us can go together that night." Exchange meetings are a common form of trading. Most of the participating monks are of similar realms, and most of the items exchanged meet their own needs. Zhou Daocheng also wanted to use this opportunity to exchange for some items that were beneficial to his cultivation or could enhance his strength. As night fell, the 3 forces and 5 strong foundation builders went to the area where the exchange meeting was located. It was a temporarily opened underground space. It was relatively simple, but the space was quite spacious. When the 5 people arrived, there were already more than 30 foundation building experts sitting inside, and there were many people participating. Moreover, Zhou Daocheng heard that 7 more forces had arrived in just one day. Nearly 30 foundation building forces had gathered here, and they were extremely powerful. After the 5 people arrived, they did not attract too much attention. They just nodded slightly with a few people and then found a corner to sit down and quietly waited for the exchange meeting to begin. After almost half an hour, the strong men from all parties arrived one after another. There were nearly 40 foundation building stage masters. After they were all seated, the exchange meeting began. A middle-aged man in white clothes walked up to the stage and said with a smile, "Thank you fellow Taoists for giving me a face and coming to participate in this exchange meeting. We won't say much. I will throw out some materials for you to exchange." As he said that, he took out several second-level natural treasures, a jade bottle and a jasper box. "Dear fellow Taoists, Zhao has a bottle of ice-clear spiritual water here, which is of high quality, second-grade medium-grade water. Attributed cultivators can use it for cultivation, and alchemists and weapon refiners can also use it to improve the success rate of refining pills and forging magic tools. There is also a piece of purple meteorite iron, which can be used to make second-grade magic tools. I plan to exchange these 2 natural treasures for second-grade magic tools and talismans, which can directly improve strength. Which fellow Taoist is willing to exchange?" After the voice fell, many people frowned, and no one was willing to exchange for a while, which also made Zhao Zima stunned on the stage for a while, a little embarrassed. As the organizer of the exchange meeting, this is the first one to go on stage to exchange, but no one is willing to make a move, which is really low. After a while, someone smiled and said, "Fellow Taoist Zhao, are you a little unrealistic? Second-grade spiritual water and ore are indeed rare, but they are just materials. But you want to exchange for second-grade magic tools and talismans? This really makes us dare not exchange." Chapter 315 second level middle grade spirit essence. Zhao Yunzhi smiled helplessly after hearing this, and explained, I may not have explained it clearly just now. The ice pure spiritual water has not been diluted. The quantity is 2 taels, and the value should be higher than that of ordinary second level magic tools. It has not been diluted. When this was said, everyone's eyes lit up and they immediately became interested. Generally speaking, most of the spiritual waters on the market have been diluted, and the quality is not good. It can only be said to be a shoddy product. However, if it has not been diluted at all and the weight is still 2 taels, then the value is extraordinary. A burly man in black said in a hoarse voice, would you be so kind as to give me undiluted spiritual water? I don't believe it. No. Zimu was not angry, and handed the jade bottle to the cultivator in front of him. He just opened the bottle cap and sniffed it a few times, then his face changed drastically and he said in a deep voice, it is indeed undiluted spiritual liquid, and it looks like it was collected not long ago. It is a good thing. I am sorry for being rude. It doesn't matter, fellow Taoists can believe it next. Zhao Yunzhi said calmly. After hearing this, someone immediately started bidding. At the back, a middle-aged female cultivator in black, full of heroic spirit, said, fellow Taoist Zhao, I have a second-level low-grade white frost vine whip. Can I exchange it with you for this bottle of ice-clear spiritual water? After thinking for a while, Zhao Yunzhi shook his head and said, sorry, fellow Daocheng, I don't use vine whips, and the quality of this magic weapon is too low. It's useless to me and can't compare to the value of ice-clear spiritual water. The middle-aged woman in black didn't say much, sighed and sat down. I have a sort of red rainbow and white moon here. Although it is also a second-level low-grade, it is more powerful. People kept bidding, and the atmosphere gradually became hot. Although Zhou Daocheng was eager in his heart, he was short of money, so he could only watch. The value of second-level spiritual water is not low. If you can buy a bottle back, it will be very good, whether it is for Zhou Daocheng to refine the weapon or for yourself to set up the formation. And the most appropriate thing is not to give it to Zhao Yunzhi for refining, which can quickly increase her strength and reach the peak of chi refining, and lay a solid foundation for the next foundation building. Unfortunately, Zhou Daocheng himself has few magic weapons, let alone exchanging magic weapons for spiritual water. As for whether it can be exchanged with formations, Zhou Daocheng is not stupid enough. In the first level formations, whether it is the Earth Spirit House, the Quicksand formation and the Golden Spear 100 Vine formation, it may be very powerful in the eyes of chi refining cultivators, but for foundation building cultivators, it is just useful garbage. If he naively thought that these things could be exchanged for second-level spiritual water, he would probably be laughed at by everyone. However, if he was willing to take out the spirit puppet formation, he might really be able to use the first-level formation to exchange for this bottle of second-level spiritual water. However, Zhou Daocheng himself was really reluctant to do so, which would greatly reduce his strength, and the effort was far less than the gain. More importantly, he understood the principle of not showing off wealth. Once this formation was leaked, it would inevitably lead to some bad consequences, but after thinking it over again and again, he still did not join the competition. As for Lindsay Owen and Qin Chenghu, it seemed that they did not need the spiritual water either. They just watched calmly from beginning to end. Finally, after a fierce competition, a middle-aged man successfully exchanged a bottle of second-level ice-clear spiritual water with a shield-shaped defensive magic weapon, but no one wanted the purple meteorite iron, so it was taken back by Zhao Yunzhi. I have successfully exchanged for the magic weapon I need. Next, other Taoist friends will come to exchange. Zhao Yunzhi hosted with a smile. Following closely, another old man with a serious face walked onto the stage and threw out a piece of wood and a jade bottle. Here is a piece of thunderstruck wood of thunder pattern bamboo and the spirit of a second-level middle-grade thunder-winged tiger, but the spirit is slightly damaged. It can be used to exchange for healing pills and fire attribute cultivation resources. Of course, if there are enough spirit stones, it can also be exchanged. As the two items appeared, everyone's eyes were attracted, and some people exclaimed in surprise. It was actually two thunder-attributed treasures, which was really rare. Neither the thunder-patterned wood nor the thunder-winged tiger were items in the nearby area. However, many people did not know this old man and were a little curious about his identity. Besides Zhou Daocheng, Lin Ziyuan also explained in a low voice, "This old man is very unfamiliar. He probably came to the area recently, and judging from his aura, he should be a 6th-level foundation building strongman." Zhou Daocheng was also a little surprised. He didn't expect that as an inconspicuous old man, he was actually a 6th-level foundation building strongman. But it was no wonder that he had the strength to hunt a 2nd-level middle-stage thunder-winged tiger. Naturally, his strength was not much worse. Moreover, recently, there are actually many powerful independent cultivators who come to clean up the 100 insects poison swamp. It is not because they are willing to join the Wang family of Canyon Mountain, but because they hope to find a spiritual vein here and settle down. Some powerful independent cultivators hope to establish a family or a force. However, it is very difficult to find an ownerless spiritual vein in a place where cultivators gather, so they can only focus on primitive wastelands such as the 100 insects poison swamp. The Wang family and the Tang family are also happy to do so. A piece of undeveloped land always needs cultivators to settle in. Moreover, these powerful independent cultivators can not only help them clean up the poisonous swamp of insects now, but also become a powerful force when they are stationed here in the future, increase the number of strong people in this area, and drive future development. It is simply 100 benefits without any harm. However, these things are not what Zhou Daocheng needs to worry about. At this time, his eyes looked at the 2nd-level middle-grade thunder-winged tiger's spirit, with a little desire in his eyes. The 2nd-level spirit is comparable to the strong in the middle stage of foundation building. If it can be used to refine the spirit puppet array, even if the strength is greatly weakened, it should be able to barely reach the 2nd or 3rd level of foundation building. However, after Zhou Daocheng regained his sanity, he thought about it again and found that he thought too beautifully and there were still many problems to be solved. First of all, this spirit is not completely intact. Even if it needs to be repaired after buying it back, it will more or less affect the strength of the spirit. Secondly, the spirit puppet array is only a 1st-level array. It was already very difficult to control a 2nd-level low-grade spirit before. Now it is almost impossible to control a 2nd-level medium-grade spirit. If he wants to achieve it, Zhou Daocheng must improve the quality of the spirit puppet array to a 2nd-level array. It seems that there is only one level difference between upgrading a 1st-level high-grade array to a 2nd-level low-grade array, but the complexity of the array patterns is indeed very different, and the difficulty is as difficult as ascending to heaven. Chapter 316, Second Order. Let's not talk about the success rate. Even if Zhou Daocheng can raise the spirit puppet array to the 2nd level, how long will it take? So after thinking for a long time, he didn't make up his mind, but he thought, if he can't get a 2nd-level spirit this time, then he doesn't know when he will get this high-quality spirit next time. Zhou Daocheng thought to himself, if it's just a low-quality healing pill in exchange, maybe it's not a loss. When the Fire Dragon Gate was exterminated before, he had found a few 2nd-level pills in the Fire Dragon Gate's treasure house, but they were all 2nd-level low-quality pills, and the quality was not particularly good. Among them was a 2nd-level low-quality healing pill. Zhou Daocheng thought for a while and asked, Dao, I have a life-saving pill here. I wonder if I can exchange it for a spirit. The old man frowned slightly, glanced at the bone-growing pill in Zhou Daocheng's hand, and said, the quality is too low. Although the value is not much different from the 2nd-level spirit, it is not what I need. Zhou Daocheng nodded slightly after hearing this, and sat down without saying much. Although the quality of the 2nd-level medium-quality spirit is higher, it is just a material after all, and it is a damaged material. In fact, the price is equivalent to every 2nd-level low-quality pill. Since the other party is unwilling to exchange, Zhou Daocheng is unwilling to force it. Besides, he can't take out the top healing pills such as Blood Lotus pill for exchange. That would be really stupid. After all, if you really need an item like spirit, you can still find some in a large market, or you can buy it from the Wang family of Canyon Mountain and the Tang family of Dankui. Although the price is higher, it is not impossible to buy it. For other cultivators present, the same is true. Although the lightning wood and the second-level middle-grade spirit essence are indeed rare, they are only rare and their actual value is not very high. So until the end, the old man did not succeed in the exchange. But this is normal, everyone takes what they need. In the end, only a small number of cultivators can really succeed in the transaction. After that, many cultivators in need took turns to go on stage to trade. The middle-aged cultivator from the Jin family of Chengdu Mountain took out the 7-leaf golden edge lotus, 100 waves spirit talisman and dragon scale stone, all of which are second-level low-grade materials, and finally exchanged them for a second-level low-grade magic weapon of good quality. Some people also took out second-level magic weapons, talismans, and elixirs for exchange. Because they can directly enhance strength, these items can often be successfully traded in a short time. Although Zhou Daocheng was also very tempted by the treasures that appeared, they were not urgently needed, and he was short of money, so he did not make a move to trade. On the contrary, Lin Zion used the unique Earth Evil Yin Qi of the Earth Evil sect to exchange for 2 second-level talismans, which was considered a gain. Just when Zhou Daocheng thought that this exchange meeting would not be fruitful, an unfamiliar old woman walked onto the stage and took out a second-level inferior black jade soul nurturing wood and a second-level inferior binding soul crystal. When Zhou Daocheng saw these two items, his eyes lit up and his mind was filled with thoughts. Black jade soul nurturing wood is a special kind of wood, as black as jade, extremely tough, and can even be ground and used as ore. It also has a certain soul-nourishing effect. This special material is extremely suitable for refining the spirit puppet array, very suitable for constructing the body of the spirit puppet, with extremely high strength, and can also warm the spirit in it. As for the binding soul crystal, it is also an extremely special and precious crystal with a certain ability to bind and control the soul. Many spiritual instruments will use this crystal. Zhou Daocheng's mind moved, and he began to listen carefully to the materials that the old woman wanted to exchange. If he could take them out, maybe he could trade them. If he had these two materials, he could upgrade and change the spirit puppet array pattern after returning, and maybe he could really set up a second-level spirit puppet array. Although the possibility is not high, it is worth a try. When the old woman said her request, Zhou Daocheng also breathed a sigh of relief. The old woman needed spirit stones, second-level elixirs to improve her cultivation, and elixirs to improve the strength of the younger generation. Zhou Daocheng also learned that the old woman was the ancestor of a small family. She was the only foundation-building expert in the family, and her life was almost over. So she hoped to exchange some resources for cultivation to improve the strength of the younger generation in the family. Zhou Daocheng thought for a while, and took out 3 things from his arms, namely spirit honey, spirit liquid, and yuanling pill. Spirit honey and spiritual liquid both contain very pure and rich spiritual energy. They can be taken directly to improve strength, and even weaker cultivators will not be harmed after using them. Yuanling pill is a second-level elixir with a wide range of uses. Dao, how about I exchange these 3 items with you? Spirit honey has a variety of qualities, from first-level low-grade to second-level low-grade. You can choose it yourself. Zhou Daocheng said. The moment the old woman saw the spiritual honey, her eyes lit up. This is indeed a spiritual item that can quickly improve cultivation and has no disadvantages. The old woman lowered her head and thought for a while, and said, 20 kilograms of first-level high-quality spiritual honey, 5 kilograms of second-level spiritual honey, plus spiritual liquid and yuanling pill, I can exchange with you. Zhou Daocheng frowned and said, are you too greedy? The old woman's face did not change, and she said firmly, the black jade soul-nourishing wood and the soul-binding crystal are extremely rare. If used in the right place, they must be worth a lot of money. I just don't have the ability to use them, otherwise I will never take them out. Zhou Daocheng frowned and said, you said it yourself. Only under special circumstances can these 2 materials be worth a fortune. I can only offer 10 jin of first-grade high-quality spiritual honey, 1 jin of second-grade low-quality spiritual honey, plus spiritual liquid and yuanling pill. This is already the most sincere price. The price Zhou Daocheng offered was definitely higher, not lower. After all, these two materials were not particularly common, and many people could not use them at all. The price was relatively. The old woman looked at the spiritual honey with greed in her eyes. Greed finally prevailed, and she shook her head and said, "No, if you really want to trade, you can only follow my price." Just when Zhou Daocheng was in a dilemma, a cold voice sounded, "I also have a piece here, black jade soul-nourishing wood. I will exchange with you, fellow Taoist Wugu. I only need 1 jin of second-grade high-quality spiritual honey, plus 10 jin of first-grade high-quality spiritual honey." Zhou Daocheng's eyes lit up when he saw the person who spoke was a female cultivator wearing a black robe with a small moon symbol engraved on her clothes. This is the symbol of the Lu family of Moon Lake, a foundation-building family with a not-so-long heritage that has only risen in recent decades and has 2 foundation-building masters. Zhou Daocheng was thinking about the black jade soul-nourishing wood in the woman's hand, which was actually slightly larger than the one in the old woman's hand, and the quality seemed to be better. Chapter 317 The Old Lady of the Zheng Family. Although there is no spirit-binding crystal, it still saves a lot of spiritual liquid and a nuanling pill, and the price is quite reasonable. So Zhou Daocheng no longer hesitated and agreed decisively, "Okay, I want this piece of black jade soul-nurturing wood. This is Lingmai. Please take stock of it." However, just as the two were trading, the expression of the old woman on the stage immediately changed, and a sharp and harsh voice came from her mouth, "I am trading now. What do you mean? Don't you know that bitch first comes first?" After saying these words, many people present frowned. Everyone present has taken refuge in the forces of the Kaianian Mountain Wang family and the Tan Puppet Tang family. There is a high probability that they will work together to clean up the 100 insect poison swamp, and they may even need to fight together. This exchange meeting was also for the friendly purpose of deepening communication and enhancing mutual feelings. However, the old woman's words clearly changed the atmosphere present. Especially the woman in black from the Lu family had a frosty face. Even the organizer, Zhao Zimu, looked at the old woman with a cold expression. He spoke arrogantly and took the initiative to stir up trouble on the current occasion. This was not giving him the Zhao family face. The old woman looked at Zhou Daocheng with sinister eyes and said, "According to your price, I will give you these 2 materials. Which is a bargain for you?" Zhou Daocheng just glanced at him lightly and continued to interact with the woman in black from the Lu family as usual, completely ignoring what the old woman said. The old woman's face turned darker, and her voice was gloomy. "What do you mean, kid? Are you deliberately targeting me?" The old woman, Zhou Daocheng, was not willing to give in, and did not tolerate her at all. He said coldly, "Old woman, who do you think you are? What if I don't trade with you today?" When the other monks heard this, they also took a deep look at Zhou Daocheng. This, the legendary Lord of Fog Valley, was obviously not one to swallow his anger. However, this kind of character can impress more people. In the world of cannibalistic immortality, there is never room for weak people to survive. Without strong means, how can one be the leader of a party? Beside Zhou Daocheng, there were 2 or 3 pairs of eyes, all staring at the old woman, scanning with indifferent eyes, bringing a great sense of oppression. As allies, Lin Zion, Qin Chu, and eldest brother Zhu Daobai, although they did not say a word, the faint aura exuding from their bodies had completely made their attitude clear. The old woman originally wanted to say something more, but when she saw this scene, she was immediately frightened and took a step back. Including the other monks present, seeing the attitude of the 3 forces in Foggy Valley uniting the front, they couldn't help but show a solemn attitude. This is not a simple force. There are 5 foundation building experts, including 2 who have a 3rd-level foundation building. This is already powerful enough. And more importantly, these 3 forces are the first to follow the Kaianian Mountain Wang family and will be more or less protected. In the end, the old woman seemed a little unwilling. She looked at Zhao Zimu and asked in a cold voice, "Zhao's son, your father and I are old acquaintances. You can comment on this matter today. It's obviously an old woman and I are trading on the stage. The 2 of them are. Is it legal for people to do this? You must give me an explanation." Hearing this, Zhao Zimu's face darkened. "I don't even talk to me in this tone. Who are you going to use to suppress me? We are all foundation establishment monks. We are equals. There is no need to talk about blood and seniority, but we dare to rely on our elders here and give orders in such a frivolous manner. How can Zhao Zimu give him a good look?" Zhao Zimu's voice was calm and cold, and he said, "This is a free exchange meeting. No matter who you want to trade with, you must be willing to do it. This is the rule. Does Zhang Dao still need to continue trading? If not, then please come down." The old woman's face turned blue and white, and finally she felt something was wrong in the atmosphere in the venue, so she walked out without saying a word. However, there was a hint of evil in the eyes looking at Zhou Daocheng and the woman in black from the Liu family. The following exchange meeting continued as usual. The atmosphere was quite harmonious, and it did not end until late at night. Subsequently, Zhou Daocheng did not see the required materials, so he did not conduct any more transactions. Instead, he closed his eyes and rested, thinking about the spiritual puppet formation in his mind. When the exchange meeting ended and he returned to Tulin Lodge to rest, Zhou Daocheng was still thinking in his mind. The formation patterns of the spirit puppet formation were constantly turning over in my mind, thinking about the possibility of reaching the second level. Only then did he really feel how difficult this was. The complexity of the array pattern alone was likely to have more than doubled. Moreover, it is conservatively estimated that once the spirit puppet formation reaches the second level, the quality will most likely reach the late stage of the second level low grade, which is not comparable to the ordinary second level formation. Zhou Daocheng shook his head helplessly. With his current level, it was difficult for him to even arrange some of the more complex second-order low-grade formations, let alone adjust the formations or even create formations. There is a high probability that Zhou Daocheng will not be able to create a second-order spiritual puppet array for a long time. You must at least improve your formation skills to the peak of the second-order low-grade, or touch the second-order mid-grade level before you can reluctantly start trying. With this in mind, Zhou Daocheng stopped trying too much, and instead calmed down and waited for the next cleanup of the 100 insect poison swamp. During the waiting period, Zhou Daocheng focused all his attention on practicing magic. I have now learned the spell Yutagiyuan, but the condensed defensive shield is not solid enough, and the speed of condensation is not fast enough, so it is relatively unfamiliar. Even so, it already has a very strong defense. But Zhou Daocheng can clearly feel that this is not the limit of this spell. These disadvantages may not be apparent when dealing with some weaker cultivators, but if the enemy is too strong, it will expose inevitably many problems. Therefore, in his spare time, Zhou Daocheng will continue to practice, while trying to further strengthen his mastery of this spell. Zhou Daocheng roughly estimated that his current strength, in terms of attack means alone, may still be insufficient, so he can only rely on the red snake tattoo and formation. However, the defense means are extremely strong, and there is a high probability that even if he faces a third-level foundation building strongman, he can still be invincible. At least he will not die. Especially after having the Kingfin shuttle, his ability to save his life is further improved, and he can run away directly even if he can't beat him. In general, he should be able to barely withstand the third level of foundation building, and his overall strength cannot fall behind the second level of foundation building, and even suppress and kill. It's not that he is so strong, but the advantage of the spirit puppet array is too obvious. When multiple Taoist puppets attack together, ordinary foundation building masters will find it difficult to withstand it. With an accurate assessment of his own strength, Zhou Daocheng is more confident about the next action. As long as he takes steady steps, he will definitely gain a lot. After waiting for about 7 days, when most of the forces have arrived, the cleanup of the 100 insects poison swamp will begin. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 318 Obtaining Contribution Points. The Wang family of Cayenne Mountain and the Tang family of Dan Kui took the lead and sent out strong men to carry out the first round of cleanup. Even the two Purple Mansion true immortals all took action, and the huge palace-shaped magic tools soared into the air and headed towards the depths of the 100 insects poison swamp, directly finding the nearest third-level monster, and then joined forces to surround and kill it. The entire 100 insects poison swamp covers an extremely large area, and even the deepest part has completely entered the depths of the East Great Wilderness vein, where there are a large number of terrible monsters. The two major families nominally said that they were cleaning up the 100 insects poison swamp, but in fact they would not clean up the entire 100 insects poison swamp, which is almost impossible. Strictly speaking, there are not 50, but 100 third-level monsters living in the entire 100 insects poison swamp, but no cultivator has ever explored it, resulting in a lack of understanding of the internal situation. This time, the cleanup will most likely only clean up 1 or 2 third-level monsters, occupy 1 or 2 third-level spiritual veins in this uninhabited land, and then establish the Donglin market here. Once Donglin market takes root, it will attract countless cultivators to come, thus continuously developing the 100 insects and poison swamp and clearing out more places for cultivators to explore. As expected, the Purple Palace masters of the Wang and Tang families only appeared for 2 days, hunted 2 third-level monsters, and then left in a hurry. Their mission has been completed, and the remaining thing is to clear all the second-level and first-level monsters in this area, and then establish Donglin market here. The next task is for the foundation-building masters of the Wang and Tang families to lead the foundation-building masters who came this time to jointly clear the remaining monsters. However, Zhou Daocheng's face turned green when he knew the scope that needed to be cleared. The domain of a third-level monster is almost tens of thousands of kilometers, which is an extremely vast area. There are a large number of monsters living inside. It is very troublesome to clean it up, and it will inevitably take a long time. However, the scope that needs to be cleared this time is almost more than 30,000 kilometers. In this range, there are at least 800 second-level monsters, if not 1,000. And there are more than tens of thousands of first-level monsters. Not only Zhou Daocheng, almost all the foundation-building forces took a deep breath. This task was far more difficult than expected, and the danger was terrifying. It might take a long time, and they would be in the harsh environment of the poisonous swamp of hundreds of insects. But in the end, considering that they had come, there was no reason to retreat, and the strong men of the Wang family and the Tang family had taken the initiative to lead the team and began to actively march into this barren land. And at the first time, the two Purple Mansion forces took the lead in publicizing the items that could be exchanged for contribution points to motivate everyone. Zhou Daocheng took a look and was immediately attracted by the dazzling array of items. The number of items that could be exchanged for contribution points was extremely large, and the types were also very rich. Many of them were treasures that Zhou Daocheng had never heard of or seen. It covered various aspects of items such as elixirs, formations, talismans, magic tools, puppets, spirit beasts, spirit medicines, spirit mines, spirit stones, exercises, spells. Even among them, Zhou Daocheng saw the foundation-building pills. Although there were only 3, it was enough to attract everyone's attention. All the forces involved in the cleanup are foundation-building forces. For all of them, there are 2 things that cannot be avoided. The first thing is to seek a breakthrough in the Purple Mansion, and the other is to maintain the foundation-building heritage, that is, to buy foundation-building pills. So once the foundation-building pill appears, it will definitely be the object of everyone's competition. But the contribution points required to exchange for the foundation-building pill are much more than imagined, requiring a full 6,000 points. This has to be said about the difficulty of obtaining contribution points. Zhou Daocheng specifically checked it out. In addition to the contribution points obtained at the beginning, if you want to obtain contribution points later, you need to hunt wild beasts, collect natural treasures, discover spiritual veins and resources, etc. Among them, hunting wild beasts is the most common method. Hunting a monster beast equivalent to the 9th level of Qi refining can get 1 contribution point. Hunting a monster beast in the early stage of the 2nd stage can get 150 contribution points depending on the strength. In the middle stage of the 2nd stage, you can get 450 contribution points. In the late stage of the 2nd stage, you can get 451,000 contribution points. If you look at it this way, if you hunt a monster at the peak of the second stage late stage, which is equivalent to the 9th level of foundation building, you need to hunt a full 6 to exchange for a foundation building pill. For all forces, it is almost impossible. Because most forces have foundation building masters whose strength is only in the early and middle stages of foundation building. Only a few forces have masters in the late stage of foundation building, but they can't easily hunt a monster at the second stage late stage, let alone a monster comparable to the 9th level of foundation building. Therefore, the goal of most people is to hunt monsters in the early and middle stages of foundation building. If you hunt a monster equivalent to the 3rd level of foundation building, you need to hunt a full 40 to exchange for a foundation building pill, which is also unimaginably difficult. Zhou Daocheng also frowned. It is almost impossible to exchange for a foundation building pill, even more difficult than accumulating spirit stones to buy it. However, it is not difficult to understand that there is a reason why the two families raised the difficulty of exchange so high. The main reason is that the corpses of monsters obtained from hunting monsters all belong to the cultivators themselves, but some of the precious monster materials can also be exchanged for contribution points. So strictly speaking, hunting a monster can earn 2 contribution points, which makes it much easier to accumulate contribution points. Moreover, depending on the value of monster materials, the cost-effectiveness of hunting different monsters is also different. If it is a monster like the poison frost toad, although its strength is only in the early stage of the 2nd level, with its cold clothes, it can be exchanged for far more than 150 contribution points. In addition, in the territories of most 2nd level monsters, there are some precious treasures of heaven, materials and earth, which can also be exchanged for contribution points. Some extremely precious treasures of heaven, materials and earth are also worth more than the monsters themselves, and can also bring valuable contribution points. Finally, if a spiritual vein can be found in the poisonous insect swamp, the contribution points that can be redeemed will be even greater. However, one thing must be mentioned. Whether it is the monster materials obtained by hunting monsters or the heavenly materials and earthly treasures discovered, the monks have the right to handle them by themselves. Whether it is to exchange for contribution points or to keep them for their own use, Wang and Tang both no one will ask. However, if a spiritual vein is discovered, it is not allowed to be occupied alone. It must be handed over to the Wang family and the Tang family, so it can only be exchanged for contributions. Zhou Daocheng looked at the method of obtaining contribution points, thought about it, and found that the Wang family and the Tang family did not deliberately make things difficult for everyone. Any force has the opportunity to obtain the foundation establishment pill, and the conditions for redeeming contribution points are actually not particularly harsh. For example, if you hunt a monster with a 3rd level of foundation building, the monster itself is worth 150 contribution points, and its own monster materials should be exchanged for 30 to 50 points. If you can still find heavenly materials and earthly treasures in the territory, you can worth about 50 points. Chapter 319 Cleanup begins. In this way, the value of a demon beast is nearly 250 points, and you only need to hunt 25 of them to exchange for the foundation building pill. Although it is also very difficult, but at least there is hope. In addition to the foundation building pill, Zhou Daocheng also saw many other items in the table, such as, you can directly exchange spirit stones with contribution points. 1 contribution point can be exchanged for 10 low-grade spirit stones. Some forces with fewer contribution points can also directly exchange them for spirit stones if they cannot exchange precious items, which is also a considerable gain. Zhou Daocheng even saw the Earth Spirit House in it, and it was marked in the first row, worth 50 contribution points. In addition, next to the Earth Spirit House there is a special note. The cave-type formation can be used as a temporary cave, and it contains a variety of formations inside, which can make hunting demon beasts easier. This is the only item with a special mark among all the items, which attracted the attention of many people. Moreover, the Wang family deliberately marked that the price is very low, hoping that all forces could buy a set of Earth Spirit House before hunting monsters, so as to greatly reduce the danger of hunting monsters. Zhou Daocheng could see that many forces had already purchased a set of Earth Spirit House. After discussion, strictly speaking, it is a very cost-effective thing to buy a set of first-level superior formations with 50 contribution points, which is equivalent to the price of 500 spirit stones, which is equivalent to the welfare given by the Wang family. Moreover, this is a more valuable cave-type formation, and the actual value is likely to exceed 2,000 spirit stones, which is almost a profit. However, Zhou Daocheng naturally did not care too much about the situation of the Earth Spirit House. After all, he still kept some for himself, which is definitely enough for his own use. He paid more attention to checking various other items, such as powerful magic tools, second-level skills and spells. If the foundation building pill cannot be exchanged in the end, then exchanging a batch of second-level skills, spells, and magic tools is also a very good choice, which can directly increase the foundation and strength. Among them, Zhou Daocheng also saw the puppets made by the Tang family, which included the first and second grades. If you can buy a second-grade puppet, it is equivalent to a foundation-building strongman, which is also very cost-effective. After watching for half an hour, Zhou Daocheng reluctantly moved his eyes away. These precious items are what Wugu lacks now. The same is true for others' foundation-building forces. These items may not be particularly precious to the Wang family and the Tang family, but for the weak foundation-building forces, they are treasures that can increase the foundation. Lin Ziwen couldn't help but sigh. The things are all good things, but it's a pity that the price is too expensive, and they all require a lot of contribution points. Qin Qingyu also nodded and said, "It's useless to just look at it. Let's go directly. With our strength, hunting second-grade monsters is not a problem. Maybe we can make a fortune by taking this opportunity." "Then, let's start." Zhou Daocheng nodded in response. The three forces did not hesitate too much, and chose the direction of the east and north, and to go deep into the poison-beginning swamp of hundreds of insects. After walking for a while, you can find that the surrounding area should have been cleared by the strong men of the Wang family and the Tang family. Many powerful monsters have been killed, leaving only blood and hair left by the battle. Zhou Daocheng couldn't help but sigh. It's really worthy of being a Purple Mansion force. They have taken action so quickly, and their strength is terrifying. Qin Qingyu nodded and said, "That's natural. If there are no foundation-building strongmen from these two major forces to take the lead, other forces dare not easily enter the 100 insects poison swamp. Even if the third-level monsters have been killed, the remaining second-level monsters are also very strong. If you are not careful, you will be annihilated." "Indeed, and the means of these two Purple Mansion forces are really extraordinary." Lin Ziwen smiled lightly. The Qianyan Shan Wang family and the Tan Kui Tang family are both big families with a reputation of hundreds of years. Step by step, they have developed from foundation-building families to Purple Mansion families. It would be strange if they are not strong. Zhou Daocheng nodded, and couldn't help but recall the situation of the two major Purple Mansion forces. The biggest confidence of the Wang family of Qianyan Mountain, which has been able to develop to this point, comes from their guardian spirit beast. It is said that when they established the family, the earliest head of the Wang family subdued a powerful spirit beast named Purple Ring Cloud Swallow. Later, this Purple Ring Cloud Swallow found a group of the same clan in the wilderness, and then with the help of the power of the Wang family, forcibly subdued this group of Purple Ring Cloud Swallows, and the first Purple Ring Cloud Swallow also successfully became the Purple Ring Cloud Swallow King. From then on, the Wang family had a whole group of Purple Ring Cloud Swallows. As the family's guardian spirit beast, almost every member of the Wang family has a Purple Ring Cloud Swallow, so their strength is far stronger than that of the same level cultivators. The Purple Ring Cloud Swallow not only has a strong combat power, but also travels very fast. With the help of this monster, the Wang family's power continues to increase, and becomes a Purple Mansion force. The Tan Kui Tang family also has its own legendary history. As its name suggests, it is a powerful force that started with puppets. At first, the Tangai Tang family was just a small foundation-building family, and had a weapon refining heritage like the Zhou family. But later, through some unknown means, They obtained a puppet inheritance. The head of the Tang family at that time made a decisive decision and puppet technology as the foundation of the family, and finally succeeded greatly. The cultivators of the Tang family also have extremely strong strength among cultivators of the same level. Almost every one of them has one or two powerful puppets. Zhou Daocheng also thought silently. If a force wants to become strong enough, it must have the capital to become strong. This capital can be puppets and spirit beasts like the Wang family and the Tang family, or it can be skills, spells, or alchemy technology, formation technology, talisman skills, etc. In short, if there is nothing to show, how can it take the lead among many foundation building forces and become a powerful purple mansion force? And now the Zhou family already has some foundation, such as Zhou Daocheng's formation skills, or the third-level skills, which can support the Zhou family to reach a higher level. If it goes well, it may also be possible to become a purple mansion force. Of course, this is all later. Zhou Daocheng shook his head and shook these unrealistic ideas out of his mind, and officially began to continue the monster beast. After walking for about 10 kilometers, the figure of the second-level monster beast began to appear again, and the surroundings turned back to the deserted and gloomy jungle. The dense and tall trees covered the sky, but it was extremely dim during the day, and the swaying shadows fell on the ground, and the situation in front could not be seen clearly. In such an environment, the three forces had no choice but to slow down their pace, while also keeping their nerves sharp and not daring to be careless again. Chapter 320 Hunting Monsters. Lin Ziwen suddenly said, "You two, it's not suitable for us to gather together like this to hunt monsters. How about we clean up separately, but try to gather in this area nearby, not too far or too close? How about it?" Zhou Daocheng just thought about it for a while, and immediately agreed. "Okay, we try not to be more than a certain distance apart, and contact each other through the communication stone if there is anything. If the three of them stay together, the safety is indeed much improved, but the harvest may be greatly reduced. And there is another very important point. Which side should the monsters killed by the three people together belong to? It is also a very troublesome thing for the later distribution. So the best way is to hunt monsters separately while keeping a certain distance from each other, which can not only maintain a safe distance, but also have independent space and avoid conflicts." So, Lin Ziwen took the foundation building masters of the Earth Demon sect and 8 hunting teams and went to one direction first. And Qin Chu, who had already summoned the Blackwater Mystic Snake, nodded to Zhou Daocheng, and led the elders and deacons of the Spirit Snake sect into a dense jungle. In the end, only Zhou Daocheng and his elder brother Zhou Daobai were left, along with 5 hunting teams. This time, because the situation was more dangerous, Zhou Daocheng tried his best to select the captains of the 9th level of Qi refining that he was familiar with: Lin Yuan, Meng Yushan, Huang Hegang, Liu Chengzhu, and a captain of a hunting team. The elder brother Zhou Daobai said, "Let's go too. It's also good to act separately. Maybe we can get more." Zhou Daocheng nodded, and after using the Wu Earth spiritual Qi to explore the surroundings, he found a direction with a strong monster aura and went directly there. However, the luck was not as good as expected. The group spent most of the day and only found a few first-level late monsters, which they killed easily, but did not find any second-level monsters. Instead, they encountered a second-level spiritual plant bloodthirsty vine, which secretly attacked and injured several members of the hunting team. In the end, Zhou Daocheng quickly took action and used the flames of the red snake to suppress the bloodthirsty vine. In the end, the elder brother Zhou Daobai made a fatal blow and dealt with the monster vine. However, it must be said that encountering a second-level demon plant like the blood-sucking vine is actually the worst luck. The quality is only the second-level lower grade, there is no demon beast material on it that can be collected, and there are no natural treasures around. Therefore, after spending a lot of effort, only 50 contribution points can be obtained, which Zhou Daocheng looked at with disgust. This meager income situation lasted for a whole day and a half, until noon the next day. Zhou Daocheng said helplessly, "Or, let's go deeper." With the situation around, there is really no need to stay. Zhou Daobai frowned slightly and said, "Okay, continue to stay here, I'm afraid there will be no harvest in 10 days and a half. The two no longer hesitated and began to explore the depths of the 100 insects poison swamp. Of course, before that, they also used the communication stone to contact Lin Ziyuan and Qin Chu. After all, the three parties acted together, and some situations needed to be notified specifically. The two had no objection and chose to go deeper together. After all, the area where the three were now was still on the periphery, with little danger and little harvest. In the next 2 days, Zhou Daocheng went deep into the poisonous swamp of hundreds of insects. The surrounding environment became worse and worse. There were more and more poisonous insects and poisonous plants, and the danger was getting higher and higher. 2 members of the hunting team in the late stage of qi refining had died because of the attack of poison. The whole team was overshadowed and depressed. Even Zhou Daocheng and Zhou Daobai were a little anxious. In a few days, there was almost no harvest, and 2 members died. This was not a good start. Fortunately, on the 5th day, everyone finally encountered the first second level monster. Zhou Daocheng and Zhou Daobai looked solemn, looking at the tall trees in front of them, hanging a black and purple spider, with a huge body and gorgeous patterns on its body. Black flower ghost spider. Zhou Daocheng looked happy, and finally found a very valuable second level monster. Black flower ghost spider, a large spider monster living in the jungle, is non-toxic, but has a large number of spider silks and is extremely tough. The huge amount of spider silk is the most precious material in the body of this monster. It is extremely valuable and can be used to make a variety of second-level magic tools. Zhou Daobai looked alert and whispered, "His strength is equivalent to the second level of foundation building. Not very strong. You help me control him and I will take action to solve it." Zhou Daocheng hesitated for a moment and asked, "You and he are similar in strength. It should be difficult to kill directly, right? How about we siege?" "No need." Zhou Daobai smiled and took out a long sword in his hand. His aura became sharp. Even Zhou Daocheng couldn't help but change his expression slightly. He vaguely felt that his elder brother's strength seemed to have increased a lot. Compared with when he just broke through the foundation building, it was already a world of difference. What made him even more surprised was that Zhou Daobai actually held a second-level magic sword in his hand. He clearly remembered that his elder brother Zhou Daobai had no time to go out in recent months, and had no chance to go to his market to find a second-level refiner to magic refine tools. So, where did this magic tool come from? Although he was confused, it was the time of battle now. So Zhou Daocheng had no time to ask more questions and joined the battle directly. It was still the spirit puppet array. The flower-spotted viper and the black-eyed ghost-scaled snake just came out of the ground and roared towards the black flower ghost spider. However, the first attack was dodged directly, and the 2 huge pythons were avoided with a clever posture. At this time, it can be clearly seen that the strength of these 2 snake spirit puppets seems to be much weaker than before. Most likely, it is because they have been used many times and suffered considerable damage in the battle. So their strength has been weakened. Zhou Daocheng thought to himself, it seems that this set of spirit puppet formation can't be used many times. After all, the spirit can't exist for a long time. After these few battles, it has been almost consumed, causing the spirit puppet to react much slower. Moreover, the puppet's black puppet wood body also received many attacks in the battle. At this time, it became bumpy, and there are many injuries that are not on the surface and cannot be repaired. The life of this formation is almost over. However, it seems that it should still be used. Zhou Daocheng took the initiative to control the spirit puppet, but cooperated with the siege of the black flower ghost spider. At the same time, several captains of the 9th level hunting teams also began to use the golden spear and 100 vine formation and the quicksand formation. Their task was simple, which was to use the formation to trap the monsters and then ensure their own safety. Chapter 321, Practicing the Heart Sword. Under the siege of a large number of formations, the black flower ghost spider was obviously still affected, and its movements quickly slowed down, which also gave Zhou Daocheng an opportunity to let the giant snake lean forward, force it into a desperate situation, and then entangle it tightly. The black flower ghost spider tried its best to resist, constantly cutting a large number of wounds on the snake, which made Zhou Daocheng feel very distressed. At the same time, a large amount of spider silk was constantly spit out, trying to bind the giant snake in reverse. But in the next moment, the eldest brother Zhou Daobai made a direct move. In an instant, the cold and chilly breath came overwhelmingly, condensed on the white sword, and the bones seemed to come alive, releasing a strong sword light. In an instant, the terrifying breath made Zhou Daocheng couldn't help but take 2 steps back, and the surface of his body unconsciously appeared earth yellow true qi. It was after feeling the threat, the body autonomously appeared defense. Zhou Daocheng's pupils contracted, and his eyes turned sharply to the direction of his eldest brother Zhou Daobai. He unsheathed his white bone sword, which was as cold as a pond. His fierce attack instantly hit the black flower ghost spider and killed it easily. The whole process did not even take a second. Zhou Daocheng could truly feel its terrifying power. Even at the moment when he made his move, Zhou Daocheng felt the threat to his life. Even with his defensive ability, it seemed difficult to resist such a fierce move. It was even possible that he did not need to use the spirit puppet formation. With just the sword of his elder brother Zhou Daobai, he could easily kill this weak second-level monster. No wonder Zhou Daobai said that he did not need 2 people to attack, and he alone was enough. Looking at the strength he showed now, it seemed to be true. What really surprised Zhou Daocheng was actually 2 points, namely the white bone sword in his hand and the swordsmanship he used, which were extremely special and extraordinary. When Zhou Daobai easily killed the black flower ghost spider and sheathed the sword, his expression was still calm. Zhou Daocheng then stepped forward and couldn't help but frowned and asked, "Brother, I see you haven't been out recently. Who helped you refine this second-level magic weapon? And you practiced the heart sword?" Brother Zhou Daobai smiled faintly, knowing that he couldn't hide it, so he said directly, "Let me answer the first question first. This sword was specially refined for me by Dicky before he went into seclusion." Zhou Daocheng was stunned, and then he showed joy. 4th brother successfully promoted to a second-level weapon refiner? Although he had long known that 4th brother Zhou Daiki was extremely talented, especially in weapon refining skills, even though he was only in the qi refining stage, he was already able to refine arrows for the second-level dueling bow, which was almost barely enough to reach the threshold of a second-level weapon refiner. However, Zhou Daocheng always believed that only after Zhou Daiki reached the foundation building stage could he truly break through to the second-level weapon refiner, but he didn't expect that his talent seemed to be higher. Zhou Daobai was also incredulous, and said ambiguously, "He should be a second-level weapon refiner." "I'm not sure." At least he successfully refined a magic weapon, but judging from his appearance when he came out of retreat, it seems that he consumed a lot of mana. Zhou Daocheng nodded slightly, but he didn't care too much. After all, if he wanted to refine a second-level magic weapon with the cultivation of the qi refining stage, it would naturally consume a lot of mana. But Zhou Daocheng still frowned and asked, "What about the second question?" "Brother, I remember I reminded you that although this set of third-level swordsmanship is good, it has greater disadvantages. It's okay to learn from it. If you really practice it, I'm afraid there will be big problems." "Of course I know, but I have the confidence not to be affected by this set of swordsmanship," Zhou Daobai admitted frankly and said confidently. Zhou Daocheng frowned and said, "In the Xuanian sect, those who practiced this sword technique were all elders in the late stage of foundation building. Weren't they full of confidence? But you should know the final result." He was really anxious. After returning from the Juayan land, Zhou Daocheng specifically checked the history of the Heart Evil Sword and knew that it was an extremely evil sword technique. Many powerful elders of the Xuanian sect were controlled by the inner demon after practicing this set of skills, and fell into endless desires. In the end, their thoughts were confused, they lost their extreme, and then they were forced to be killed by the Purple Mansion strongman. And this information was not only read by himself, but also by his elder brother Zhou Daobai. So Zhou Daocheng was not worried that his elder brother would take such a big risk to practice. At most he would just learn from it. But what was unexpected was that his elder brother was really so bold. Seeing Zhou Daocheng's angry expression, Zhou Daobai smiled and said, "Sixth brother, don't be anxious, listen to my explanation. I think there is no problem with this set of swordsmanship. The problem is the people who practice this set of swordsmanship. What do you mean? Zhou Daocheng asked. Zhou Daobai paused and said, even in the Xuanian sect back then, it was believed that this set of swordsmanship was evil, so most of the people who practiced this set of swordsmanship were people with bad personalities and many desires in their hearts. Or, they are greedy for women, or obsessed with cultivation, or they are full of hatred. So in the end, they will be controlled by these desires and mess up their minds. However, if the person who practices has no distractions in his mind, and only comprehends this swordsmanship with the sword, and is not affected and controlled by the heart evil, he will naturally be able to learn it, and will not fall into the state of going astray. Finally, Zhou Daobai's eyes were low, and his voice was clear, and he concluded, this is a set of swords of desire, but only people without desire can truly master it. With swordsmanship as the foundation, desire is just a means. As these words were spoken, Zhou Daocheng could feel the terrifying power constantly flowing through his elder brother's body, but it did not corrode his body, but was easily controlled by the sword technique. It seemed that all desires were just a kind of power hidden in the sword's edge. When needed, it could be directly mobilized, and it would not corrode the sword holder itself. And the elder brother Zhou Daobai's eyes were indeed clear. He had no desires or evil, and he was not affected by the heart evil, only the sharp sword intent. Seeing this, Zhou Daocheng's worries were slightly relieved, but his brows were still furrowed. After all, Zhou Daobai's appearance at this time did not look like a righteous person. He was surrounded by the aura of desire, and his breath was gloomy and terrifying, with a strong resentment, all shrouded in layers of clouds, like an evil demon. However, under such a terrifying appearance, the purest sword intent could be vaguely felt. Finally, Zhou Daocheng advised, brother, you should be more careful and don't go astray, otherwise the consequences will be disastrous. Okay, I know what I'm doing. Zhou Daobai nodded. Hearing this, Zhou Daocheng didn't say much. His brother was also a calm person, and was purely obsessed with swordsmanship. Perhaps he could really master this terrifying sword of the heart. Chapter 322 Blood-Toothed Boar. After easily killing the black flower ghost spider and collecting the monster materials, Zhou Daocheng led the team back on the road. Now that he knows his eldest brother's true strength, Zhou Daocheng is more confident about his next actions. Although there are only two strong foundation builders in the team now, their actual combat power is not weak at all. The eldest brother Zhou Daobai, although on the surface he only has the cultivation level of the second level of foundation establishment, his actual combat power should be able to reach the third level of foundation establishment. As for how powerful the Xinsha sword can be when it is released at full strength, Zhou Daocheng actually does not know, and although he himself is only at the first level of foundation building, his actual combat power far exceeds the realm. With the spirit puppet formation and snake bone spirit formation, he is no weaker than the second level of foundation building. With the cooperation of the two of them, it shouldn't be particularly difficult to surround and kill the monsters on the third level of foundation building, so the two of them can continue to go deeper and look for stronger monsters. In the next 2 or 3 days, Zhou Daocheng and others continued to go deeper and encountered 2 second-level monsters, but they were only about the strength of the first level of foundation building. After killing them easily, they did not make much contribution. It wasn't until the 4th day, when he came to an extremely dense forest, that Zhou Daocheng suddenly stopped and looked at the jungle ahead with extreme vigilance. Zhou Daobai was also vaguely aware of it. After looking at each other and Zhou Daocheng, he lowered his voice and said, "It smells so rich. Is there a second-level elixir here?" Zhou Daocheng slightly, with a solemn expression, after using Chi to sense it silently, he said, "It is indeed a second-level elixir, but the distance is a bit far, so I can't sense the specific elixir." The two of them continued walking forward, being extremely careful for fear of being discovered. In this environment, if such an obvious elixir can be produced, there is a high probability that it will be guarded by monsters, and its strength is definitely not weak. After almost walking through hundreds of meters of dense jungle, the two finally saw a cave hidden under green moss behind a broken rock. It looked extremely secretive and could not be seen unless you looked carefully. Zhou Daocheng scanned the situation near the cave and made some guesses based on the footprints on the ground and the surrounding environment. This should be the cave of the blood-tusked boar. Be careful, the strength of this monster is not simple. Zhou Daocheng nodded slightly and said, "It is definitely not easy to be able to hold on to such a powerful elixir in such a harsh environment, but now it just gives us an advantage. As long as its strength does not exceed the early stage of the second level, we can handle." Zhou Daocheng nodded and arranged, "I will contain it." "Brother, you are the main attacker and prepare to take action." Without much hesitation, Zhou Daocheng directly launched the formation. He was already deep in the cave and sensed the breath of the sleeping blood-toothed wild boar. The quicksand formation directly covered the land, and the golden jade formation began to spread underground, trying to secretly control the wild boar. However, in an instant, after sensing the subtle fluctuations of spiritual energy, the sleeping blood-tusk boar immediately woke up, violently broke away from the golden jade formation, and burst out with a heavy roar. "No, I've woken up. Brother is ready to take action." Zhou Daocheng looked solemn and tried his best at the last moment to get the quicksand formation and golden jade formation into full operation, trying his best to control the movements of the blood-toothed wild boar. The eldest brother Zhou Daocheng cooperated tacitly. As soon as Zhou Daocheng controlled the blood-toothed wild boar, he unsheathed the long-boned sword. The sharp sword light shot out without hesitation, piercing directly into the soil of the cave, instantly penetrating the blood-toothed wild boar. Back! Such terrifying power immediately injured the blood-toothed boar, and it burst out with a shrill roar. It resisted with all its strength, tried to break free from the constraints of the formation, and ran out from the depths of the cave. At this time, Zhou Daocheng could clearly sense the strength of this monster. It had reached the peak of the early stage of the second level, which was equivalent to a third-level foundation-building monk. It was very powerful. Moreover, once this monster leaves the cave, it will no longer be constrained by the terrain, and its strength will inevitably increase significantly. Its strong body is able to withstand most second-level low-grade magic weapons, thick steel woolen skin. Even spells cannot be easily destroyed. What's even more terrifying are the two blood teeth, which have not been forged in any way, but are no less than ordinary second-level magic weapons. They are filled with rich blood energy, are extremely harmful, and also have a certain mental deterrent. Anyone who is hit by these two bloody teeth, coupled with their terrifying collision force, is afraid that even a third-level foundation-building monk will be unable to survive. Zhou Daocheng did not dare to be careless and immediately summoned the spirit puppets in the spirit puppet array to stand in front of him. At the same time, he said extremely seriously, "Brother, I will divert his attention, and you kill him quickly." "Good." The array was spread out, and the spotted viper and the dark-eyed ghost-scaled snake rushed forward without hesitation, and were close to the blood-toothed boar in an instant. Zhou Daocheng knew very well that the blood-toothed wild boar's ability to move must be restricted. Once it lets go and collides, the battle will be completely controlled by the monster and it will be extremely vulnerable to injury. But as long as it is restrained in place, the offensive can be greatly restricted. Then the blood-tusk wild boar is nothing more than a wild boar with rough skin and thick flesh. The blood-toothed wild boar tried to escape, but the two giant snake spirit puppets were not afraid of death and directly wrapped around the forelimbs and neck. Even though it tried its best to resist and continuously caused injuries to the spirit puppets' necks, it could not get rid of the control immediately. It only took a few seconds for Zhou Daocheng to use the snake bone spirit formation again. Sharp snake fangs emerged from the ground and instantly pierced the blood-toothed wild boar's body from all directions, surrounding it. However, it can be found at this time that although the snake bone spirit formation is a second-level formation, its power is actually not as strong as the spirit puppet formation. The power of the snake fangs is also seriously insufficient, and it is difficult to directly pierce the skin of the blood-toothed wild boar. Fortunately, the eldest brother Zhou Daocheng was already prepared at this time. The white bone longsword in his hand trembled slightly, and there seemed to be a faint breath surrounding the long sword, and the breath became more and more terrifying. Zhou Daocheng's eyes were sharp, and he shouted in a low voice, "Angry sword!" The white bone sword body seemed to have emotions, shaking and shaking constantly, and the evil spirit condensed by emotions seemed to have a trace of red, and the information became more and more terrifying. Compared with the previous killing of the black flower ghost spider, the power of this move is now several times stronger. The surrounding flowers, plants and trees are affected and seem to lose their vitality at this moment. Zhou Daocheng couldn't help but take a few steps back, looking down at the scene with a frown, muttering to himself, "Is this a second evil spell?" Obviously, the hard evil sword itself is a set of spells, equipped with some special sword styles, which can burst out extremely powerful power. Chapter 323 Blood Fang and Elixir. The angry sword slashed out, and the powerful sword light was completely wrapped in the angry evil spirit, and it slashed directly on the head of the Blood Fang wild boar. In just a moment, the sword light pierced directly into the skull, and there was only a crisp cracking sound, and the skull was directly shattered, followed by the shrill roar of the monster. The moment it felt its life threatened, the Blood Fang wild boar struggled violently, and its agile body directly broke free from the entanglement of the spotted viper, almost tearing the snake's body apart, and crushed it with one foot. Zhou Daocheng looked at it and couldn't help but feel a pain in his heart. It seemed that after this battle, this set of spirit puppet formations was likely to be scrapped, especially the spotted viper, which was almost broken in half at this time. When the Blood Fang wild boar was about to break free, fortunately, there was a snake bone spiritual formation to block it. Although the attack power of this formation was insufficient, the effect of trapping the enemy was very good, directly restricting the Blood Fang wild boar. Once the first full struggle fails, there will be no more strength left, and the only thing left is to withstand the second-level swordsmanship of the eldest brother Zhou Daocheng. In the end, a huge crack appeared on the blood-toothed wild boar, almost splitting its entire head, and finally lying on the ground dying. Zhou Daocheng was also panting. Obviously, this sword consumed a lot of energy for him, and it was even difficult to use it easily. But the effect was beyond imagination, almost consuming more than 80% of the life of this third-level foundation-building monster, and almost killing it directly. After a slight pause, Zhou Daocheng stabbed out a sword again without hesitation, directly ending the life of the monster. The battle process was smoother than the two had imagined. It cost almost nothing, and they won the battle without getting hurt. The only loss was the scarred spirit puppet array, which seemed to be completely scrapped. The spotted viper was completely scrapped, and the black-eyed ghost-scaled snake was not much better. After enduring the struggle and trampling of the blood-toothed wild boar, its body was heavily damaged. More importantly, the spirit inside was severely damaged during the battle and had lost its spirituality. Only a little ethereal spiritual power remained, which could no longer be used. Although he felt sorry, it was only a matter of time before this formation was destroyed. Zhou Daocheng did not care too much, and the gains this time were no less than the losses. Zhou Daocheng walked up and began to collect spirits and decompose the body of the blood-toothed wild boar. The corpse of this monster has great value, and almost every material on it can be used. The corpse of this monster has great value, and almost every material on it can be used. The most precious thing is this pair of blood teeth, which is not inferior to magic tools in quality. If it is refined, it can easily refine a second-level medium-grade magic tool. If it is exchanged for contribution points, the value will definitely not be low. However, Zhou Daocheng will naturally not use such noble monster materials to exchange for contribution points. He will most likely take it back himself. As long as you find a second-level refiner and spend a few spirit stones, you can add a second-level magic tool to the Zhou family. In addition, the leather of the blood-toothed wild boar is also an extremely precious refining material. Whether it is for making armor or refining other magic tools, it is a very good choice. In addition, there are also flesh, bones, tendons, etc., which are also very valuable materials. Zhou Daocheng naturally stuffed them all into the storage bag without hesitation. It took 2 storage bags to fill them up. Just hunting this monster beast brings value far beyond imagination. If all of them are exchanged for contribution points, at least more than 300. Moreover, There is another extremely precious item that Zhou Daocheng has not collected yet. That is the spiritual medicine in the blood-toothed wild boar cave. After Zhou Daocheng recovered his spiritual energy slightly, the two went to the depths of the cave together. After entering, it was discovered that this was actually a cave located underground. Although it looks very narrow from the outside, once you enter the inside, you will find a different world. Not only is the area very spacious, but there is also a small pool inside. The rock above the head is translucent, illuminating the dark environment inside, which looks extremely suitable for life. Not to mention monsters, even humans can live here. The only drawback is that there is no spiritual vein here. The concentration of spiritual energy is insufficient, and it is a bit too humid. As soon as he entered, Zhou Daocheng only checked the environment briefly, and his eyes were attracted by something, so he walked over quickly. In the corner of the cave, 3 delicate white flowers were growing, with a faint white fluorescence in the dark cave, and strands of spiritual energy permeated out, and it looked very vigorous. Zhou Daocheng compared it slightly and guessed vaguely, "Is this Yuanling flower?" Zhou Daobai was also a little uncertain and said, "It looks a bit like it. The petals are heart-shaped. There is a circle of light yellow lines on the edge. The taste is green, and it lives in a humid cave." Neither of them is an alchemist or a spiritual plant master, so their ability to distinguish spiritual medicines is relatively weak, but with their knowledge, they can barely guess the variety of this spiritual medicine. Yuanling flower is the most important main material of the second-level inferior elixir Yuanling pill, which is very expensive. This second-level inferior elixir is the most common elixir used to improve cultivation. Almost all cultivators in the early stage of foundation building will buy a Yuanling pill if they have the conditions, so there is no need to worry about sales. The elixir is in short supply in the market. The value of its material, Yuanling flower, has also risen. 1 Yuanling flower can refine a furnace of Yuanling pills, which is about 3 to 6 pills, with a total value of about 50,000 lingxi. It can be seen that the price of Yuanling flower itself is definitely not low. After thinking for a while, Zhou Daocheng carefully dug out all the Yuanling flowers, including the root of the bag, and then stored them in a second-level spirit box, intending to take them back to Wuge for planting. This kind of spiritual medicine is a spiritual medicine that does not require much production environment, so it is relatively easy to transplant and plant, and it can completely become a part of the Zhou family's heritage. If there's a second-level alchemist in the future, maybe he can directly refine Yuanling pills and bring a lot of benefits. Zhou Daocheng was also very excited. The value of these 4 Yuanling flowers even exceeded the value of the blood-toothed wild boar itself, and the harvest was quite rich. This is definitely the most valuable monster hunted since entering the 100 insects poison swamp. This also made Zhou Daocheng couldn't help but sigh. Still have to hunt monsters with stronger strength. The materials and resources harvested are also more precious, and even the contribution points obtained are greatly increased. With the strength of him and his elder brother Zhou Daobai, the best choice is to hunt the third-level foundation building monster, which can just be suppressed, without too much danger, and can also get more harvests. So the next goal of the two is to find similar monsters. It would be best if there are some rare spiritual medicines in the monster's territory. Chapter 324 Cat's Eye. In the following half a month, Zhou Daocheng and his team continued to act as usual, hunting various monsters one after another. Zhou Daocheng and Zhou Daobai were also very tired. The 5 hunting teams that followed them also suffered a lot of losses in such a harsh environment, and several members had died here. Although their mission was simple, they were just auxiliary, and even had Zhou Daocheng and Zhou Daobai to protect them, they were still attacked by some monsters and died in the end. However, they also gained a lot in the past half a month, and later hunted 2 second-level monsters. One of them was a silver-backed wolf with the strength of the second level of foundation building, but during the battle, it accidentally destroyed its spirit, resulting in a lot of losses. The value of the monster materials of this monster is not high, so the harvest each time is relatively low. The other one is a purple flame spirit cat with the strength of the third level of foundation building, a monster that mainly attacks by sneaking and has extremely fast attack capabilities. It is extremely dangerous to encounter it in the wild jungle. Moreover, this monster also has a special purple monster fire, which has extremely strong power and can directly burn magic tools, which is more troublesome than the previous blood-toothed wild boar. Fortunately, all the abilities of this monster were completely crushed by Zhou Daocheng. Its proud sneak attack ability was directly carried by Zhou Daocheng. The moment it approached, Zhou Daocheng immediately noticed it, and quickly performed Wu Tu Gui Yuan, wrapped his whole body, and directly resisted this fatal blow. At that time, the purple flame spirit cat was shocked. He didn't expect that his full-strength attack would be blocked by a weaker prey. He immediately lost his sense of proportion and tried to use his own purple flame to attack. Unfortunately, Zhou Daocheng would not give him a chance at all. The more powerful red snake flame in his body was directly released, instantly suppressing the spiritual cat purple flame. In the end, the eldest brother Zhou Daobai almost effortlessly solved this purple flame spirit cat with one sword. This powerful third-level monster is the most powerful monster since encountered entering the 100 Insects Poison Swamp, but it is also the easiest monster to kill, without any extra effort. Moreover, this is also the monster with the richest harvest, bringing huge wealth, and the value of the monster materials exceeds that of the blood-toothed wild boar. Zhou Daocheng only collected 2 kinds of monster materials from the purple flame spirit cat, that is, essence and cat's eye. As for other flesh, bones, fur, etc., the quality is very low. Zhou Daocheng did not want them at all, and threw them all away directly. Even so, with essence and cat's eye, it can even be compared with the monster materials of other monsters. First of all, the essence, which was not damaged at all during the battle, was extremely fresh and complete, and the mental strength was very high, which was very suitable for making spirit puppet array. In Zhou Daocheng's view, the essence of the peak second-level lower-grade monster is the maximum limit that the spirit puppet array can bear. If it is stronger, it will be completely unrestrained. Therefore, this kind of essence is extremely valuable. If combined with the essence of the Blood Fang wild boar, a very strong spirit puppet array can be refined again. The Blood Fang wild boar mainly attacks with force, charging on the front battlefield, with unparalleled combat power, while the purple flame spirit cat assists in the battle, mainly attacking and killing with surprise attacks, like a ghost. And there is a more important point, which can make the strength of the purple flame spirit cat infinitely close to the one in front. That is this pair of cat eyes. The cat eyes of the purple flame spirit cat are the place where the purple flame is made and stored. It has a very strong spirituality and contains fire. If it is obtained by the alchemist and the refiner, the demon fire can be extracted from it to assist in the refining of magic tools and pills, and it is extremely valuable. A second-level demon fire is worth at least 50,000 spirit stones. Even if the quality of the demon fire is high enough, it is not a problem to sell it for 100,000 spirit stones or 200,000 spirit stones. And the most important point is that the demon fire that can be refined is extremely attractive. Even in large-scale markets, the number of demon fires that appear is extremely small. Once they appear, they will be snatched by a large number of weapon refiners and alchemists. However, after thinking for a long time, Zhou Daocheng did not intend to extract the fire from the cat's eyes, but planned to refine the cat's eyes in the spirit puppet array and become a part of the purple flame spirit cat spirit puppet. In this way, the strength of this spirit puppet will be infinitely close to that in life, almost comparable to the third-level foundation building cultivator. The value of a spirit puppet that has reached the third level of foundation building and can use demon fire is naturally self-evident. Even in the future, if the spirit puppet is damaged, Zhou Daocheng can still try to take out the cat's eyes and refine the fire in it. Although it is more difficult, it is possible after all. Just relying on the harvest of half a month, Zhou Daocheng feels that he has not lost anything. Even if he does not exchange any items, he has made a lot of money. They even have to thank the Wang family of Canyon Mountain for killing the third-level monsters here and creating a safe enough environment for them to hunt monsters here with peace of mind. This is definitely a huge benefit. However, since he is here, Zhou Daocheng will naturally go all out to hunt as many monsters as possible. Maybe he will have a chance to exchange for a foundation building pill. The dense jungle is covered with dead leaves underground, and Zhou Daocheng and his party are resting inside. The high-intensity battles and explorations during this period have brought a lot of pressure to everyone, and the consumption of mana is also huge, so they often need to stop and rest. At this time, underground, 7 first-level superior earth spirit houses are connected to each other, and Zhou Daocheng and Zhou Daobai, as well as 5 hunting teams, are in them. Zhou Daocheng and his elder brother Zhou Daobai sat opposite each other, with a pot of spiritual tea placed on the earthen table in front of them, and the two were talking. Daocheng, we have rested for a day, and the Spirit Snake sect and the Earth Demon sect have also caught up. Do you still plan to move forward? Zhou Daocheng drank a sip of tea and said thoughtfully, the location we are in now is completely out of the periphery of the 100 insects poison swamp. If we continue to go deeper to the east, I am afraid we will encounter monsters above the 2nd stage, and we may not be able to deal with them. Moreover, if we go further east, the miasma will become extremely dense, and I am afraid the danger level is not low. Zhou Daobai nodded. Then we will hunt monsters in this area. Hunting some high-value monsters should also be able to exchange for a lot of contribution points. Okay, don't rush to go deeper. The two were talking, but suddenly, they both shut up at the same time, looked up at the top of their heads, and frowned. Zhou Daocheng's eyes condensed. He vaguely felt that the breath of the foundation building cultivator was approaching, and the cloud and mist formation used for warning also wanted to know some breath. Then, in the next moment, there was a loud noise above my head, and the powerful magic power instantly fluctuated, scaring the two of us underground, including the 5 hunting teams. After sensing the movement above their heads, they immediately rushed over. Meng Yushan frowned and asked, Sir, what happened? Did someone discover us and launch a surprise attack? Chapter 325 Killing the Old Lady of the Zheng Family. Zhou Daocheng shook his head and said, Don't worry, they probably didn't come for us. It was probably a fight between monks. Zhou Daocheng believed that he had no enemies, and now that they were underground and hidden by formations, it would be difficult for any monk to discover them. What's more, if there were really a sneak attack by monks, the Tuling Lodge would have been smashed to pieces by now, and it would never be as stable as it is now. And judging from the current situation, it's just that spiritual energy has spread here, causing a little shock. After Zhou Daocheng sensed it for a while, he opened his mouth and gave instructions. You guys stay here first, and I and fellow Taoist Zhu will go outside to see the situation. After saying that, he and his eldest brother Zhou Daobai left Tuling Lodge through a secret exit. The fluctuations of spiritual energy have gone away. The two of them carefully explored the situation and felt that the strength of the two fighting against them was not weak. They should both have the cultivation level of the 2nd level of foundation building. Although his strength is very impressive, it is not something that scares the two of them, and they can't help but breathe a sigh of relief. After the two looked at each other, they rushed out of the Tuling hut together and headed towards the area where the mana fluctuated. Almost a moment later, after traveling several kilometers to the east, Zhou Daocheng finally found the traces of the two of them. Through the thick miasma, 2 figures appeared in the jungle. Zhou Daocheng couldn't help but let out a sigh. He didn't expect that these were actually 2 acquaintances. Maybe they couldn't be called acquaintances. They could only be said to have met each other. They were the old woman from the Zheng family whom they met at the exchange meeting, and the woman in black from the Liu family who made a deal with Zhou Daocheng. Seeing this scene, the eldest brother Zhou Daobai looked strange. He couldn't help but glance at Zhou Daocheng and said, Daocheng, you are very charming. You can actually provoke 2 female monks to duel for you. Zhou Daocheng twitched the corner of his mouth and said speechlessly, Does this have something to do with me? And that old woman is over 100 years old. No matter how charming I am, I won't be able to make this old woman fascinated, right? Maybe, this is what she wants. Zhou Daocheng ended this topic as soon as possible and returned his attention to the 2 sides. Although these 2 people have some conflicts, they are definitely not enemies to the point of life and death. Looking at the current situation, They have both directly entered the depths of the 100 insect poison swamp, and their hatred is definitely not low. Moreover, even if there are monks with grudges, most of them will not conflict at this time. After all, the cleanup of the 100 insect poison swamp is organized by the two major Zaifu forces. If you disrupt the order at will and make the two major families unhappy, you will only. They were afraid of the consequences and the two families simply couldn't afford it. Zhou Daocheng had doubts and carefully approached the area where the two sides were fighting, and vaguely heard their conversation. The woman in black from the Lu family said in a cold voice, "Old Madam Zheng, if the Wang family and the Tang family knew that you were committing murder and seizing treasures, do you think you can leave the 100 insect poison swamp alive? So do you think I will let you go?" The old woman from the Zheng family smiled sinisterly. As she spoke, she rushed forward with a fierce and powerful momentum. Both of them are second-level foundation-building monks, but the old woman from the Zheng family broke through earlier, so she is stronger. At the same time, the woman in black from the Lu family seemed to be seriously injured. There was a very long wound on her abdomen and blood was still flowing out. Her current strength should only be about one level of foundation building. So she was chased and beaten. On the side, Zhou Daocheng frowned and said, "The old woman of the Zheng family is so brave to kill people and seize treasures under current circumstances?" Zhou Daocheng thought for a while and said, "I heard that the Zheng family has been in decline in recent decades. They spent all their wealth to buy 2 foundation-building pills, but in the end they failed to make a breakthrough. Old Mrs. Zheng is also dying, and the family inheritance is in jeopardy. Now it's not hard to understand why you're crazy." Zhou Daocheng nodded. After all, seeing that the family's foundation-building inheritance was about to be cut off, how could old Madame Zheng be willing to do so? Therefore, even if he risks himself, he will most likely fight to the death to find a way out for his family. Considering this, Zhou Daocheng's eyes suddenly lit up and he said, "If this old woman is willing to take such a risk, then the value of the treasure she robbed should not be low. It is indeed possible." Zhou Daocheng's calm eyes also showed some waves. "Maybe it is a treasure that can help break through the foundation building? It may also be extremely expensive heavenly materials and earthly treasures that can help her exchange for a large number of spiritual stones." Zhou Daocheng guessed. "Then, shall we take action?" "Hold on." Zhou Daocheng hid in the dark and carefully observed the changes on the battlefield. The two kept attacking each other, using deadly moves without hesitation, causing injuries to each other. The woman in black from the Lu family was seriously injured and could only trade injuries for injuries to delay time. The situation was already in danger. The old woman from the Zheng family also hoped to resolve the battle as soon as possible. For fear of attracting other monks, she also ignored her own injuries and only attacked without defending. She was almost desperate. Such a fierce battle lasted for about half an hour, and the woman in black from the Lu family was finally defeated. She was directly hit in the chest by the old woman's spell, and was hit to the ground with a bang. She spit out a mouthful of blood and was almost dying. The old woman was also seriously injured, but she could barely stand. After seeing the winner, a gloomy smile appeared on her face. But just as she was halfway through her smile, the smile on her face froze. I saw a long sword flying towards her, stabbing her hard, and a blood arrow sprayed in the air. The expression of the old woman from the Zheng family changed drastically in an instant. In an instant, the old woman tried to use a spell to resist, but the next moment her legs were tied up by thorns and vines, making her unable to move. Big brother Zhou Daocheng was the first to move cleanly and neatly. The sword of the angry sword broke through the air, and the light red true energy reflected the dark forest. The burst of breath overturned the surrounding trees. The terrifying power was enough to match the third-level foundation-building cultivator. It directly knocked the seriously injured Zheng family old woman away. The sword tip made a huge hole in her chest, and blood splashed in the air. He attacked without hesitation and reversed the situation in the shortest time. Even in her prime, the Zheng family old woman probably couldn't fight against Zhou Daocheng, who practiced the Yinsha sword, let alone the state of being seriously injured after fighting with the Lu family woman. And for safety reasons, Zhou Daocheng was still waiting by the side. The moment the Zheng family old woman flew out, a red snake tattoo appeared on her body, and a terrifying flame attacked, The flames attached directly to the body of the Zheng family old woman. No matter how she struggled and screamed on the ground like an evil ghost, it was useless. Finally, Zhou Daocheng ended her life with a sword. In the last look at the old woman of the Zheng family, he murmured inaudibly, "You were so arrogant to my sixth brother at the trade fair. It is not too much to kill you today." The two of them took action, of course, not without reason. On the one hand, the previous conflict made the two prejudiced against the old woman. On the other hand, and the most important point is that this person provoked a civil war in the process of clearing monsters. If he was handed over to the Wang family, he might have made a contribution. The old woman of the Zheng family looked terrified, but in the end she could not say a word, and she collapsed to the ground and was burned to ashes. Zhou Daocheng also picked up the storage bag on the ground with a little surprise on his face. He didn't care whether the old woman had offended her or not. Even if he changed someone today, if he could get enough benefits, he would still take action. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.